Hello, everyone.
Halo,
Halo,
Prof.
Prof. Nah,
Assalamualaikum,
Hello.
Bapak.
Malang. What time? When we will start?
we'll start at 12:15.
Oh, 12:15. So I think better for me if I pray first. Door?
Yeah,
I think. Okay,
all
yeah,
right.
yeah. Okay, yeah. I think the MC from Madras.
Yes,
Very good.
you remember me so well.
Yeah, I just. Of course, I remember your face, but sometimes as usual, I forgot your name.
Thank you for
Karisma. Yes.
remembering me.
Yes. Okay. Good. So allow me to pray first. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Bisa.
Ladies and gentlemen, the agenda is going to start. Please kindly turn on your camera and use the virtual background.
Yes, okay.
The distinguished keynote speakers, the Honorable Head of the Directorate of Postgraduate Programs, University of Muhammadiyah Malang, the respected lecturers and postgraduate students of University of Muhammadiyah Malang, and all participants from across the globe. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and a warm welcome to you all. It is a great honor and privilege to welcome you to the International Conference 2026 on Mental Health in Global Context, Interdisciplinary Perspectives of Psychology, Education, and Law, hosted by the Directorate of Postgraduate Programs, University of Muhammadiyah Malang. This conference is the result of the collaborative effort among several study programs, the Master of Laws, Master of Psychology, Master of Pedagogy, and the Doctoral Program in Psychology. I am Karisma, and it is truly an honor to serve you as the Master of Ceremony of today's conference. Today, we gather from different parts of the world to engage in meaningful academic dialogue, one of the most urgent global issues of our time, mental health. Today, mental health is not only a medical or psychological issue, it affects how students learn, how teachers teach, and how laws are applied, and how communities functions. Around the world, people are facing increasing pressure from social change, technology, and global challenges, making mental well-being more important than ever. Through these discussions, we hope to build deeper understanding and stronger collaborations to support mental well-being in global contexts. We are especially honored to host distinguished speakers from Indonesia, Malaysia, Taiwan, Australia, and Italy, bringing diverse perspectives, rich academic experiences, and global insights into today's discussions. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin with, let's start this agenda by reciting Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Quick word about today's agenda. We shall begin with a remark from the representative of the Directorate of Postgraduate Programs, University of Muhammadiyah Malang. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Dr. Samsul Arifin MSI. The screen is yours.
Thank you, Sister Harisma. Or if I use bahasa Mbak Harisma. Thank you on again. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon. Shalom. Innal hamdalillah la haula wa la quwwata illa billah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu la nabiyya ba'da. Di
Aku ya teman-teman.
studio. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, I will continue because little bit distracted with the sound, not the sound. Well, again, good afternoon and warm greeting to everyone, especially to the honorable or distinguished speaker. Here we have the excellent speaker, firstly from Indonesia. I hope Professor Tulus joining. Hello, Prof. Tulus. Is there here, Prof. Tulus? Not yet. And distinguished speaker from Malaysia, Professor Sayuti Hasan, is correct? Is there here also?
Yeah, I'm here.
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah.
Yeah, you in Kuala Lumpur or another city in the Malaysia?
I am currently in Bangi,
Bangi.
Selangor.
Oh, Selangor.
Yeah.
I've been never there. I have been never.
Yeah.
But I have been to Kuala Lumpur and to the city that close with the Singapore, Johor. Yeah,
Oh,
Johor.
Johor Bahru. Yap.
Yeah, thank you.
Hmm.
Selamat datang, Professor
Terima
Muhammad
kasih.
Saidiazan. Yes, thank you. And also this distinct speaker from Taiwan, Sunmi Inwei. Is there here? Hello. Good afternoon, Professor Sunmi. Okay, maybe on her way, maybe. And we, especially me, I'm very happy because we also have the excellent speaker from Italy. I have been with him maybe a couple months ago. Pacchiola, Professor Pacchiola, I think. Professor Pacchiola, I'm not sure about the last name. Hello, good afternoon.
Aureliano.
Aureliano, yeah. Thank you for your correct, the Ibu Vice Director too. Are you okay, yeah? Yes, Pacquiao, hello. Is there here, Professor Pacquiao? Good afternoon or good morning in Italy, because we have the extremely different about the time. Okay, first of all, I think we have to express our gratitude to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, to our God, because He always bestow the blessing, the heart, so that we can gather in the webinar or in the international conference. I think it's the good, our excellent conference, because as the Charisma state already, the approach, the conference is interdisciplinary approach, yeah, to talk more, to discuss more about the mental health in a global context, interdisciplinary perspective of psychology, education, and law. Yeah, at least there is the department that get involved in the conference. So once again, I think it's a good conference because we will discuss interdisciplinary about the mental health. So on behalf the Directorate of Postgrad of Universitas Muhammadiyah Malang, I would like to express my gratitude, especially to all of speaker, Prof. Tulus, Prof. Sayuti, Prof. Sunmin, and Pacialo, who provide their time, who provide the expertise to discuss with us about this topic. And of course, I hope to all participants from the law law department in the Magister, and also from the psychology, Magister or Doctor, and also for the education, Master in Law. I hope they can get good insight, good perspective, and also can enrich their perspective, their vision, their knowledge about the mental health according their perspective as the psychology student, the education student, and the law student. And also, I would like to express my appreciation to the three departments that initiate this conference in the beginning of our lecture. As we know that our lecture will be start today actually, but the Department of Law and the Department of Psychology and Department of Education initiate the good conference. So even though we in the different discipline in terms about the science, in the law, in the education, and the psychology, I think we will discuss more productive. Yeah. We will discuss further about this mental health, because according to me, I'm not expertise about the mental health because my background is sociologian, But mental health, I think, is good if we discuss not only from the psychology, but also from the education, but also from the law, even also from the religion, or especially from the Islamic perspective. So, once again, on behalf of the director of postgrad, Universitas Muhammadiyah Malang, I would like to give the huge appreciation for the in initiating this international conference. Enjoy, and to start this conference, as usual, let's start by reciting Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you. Please, Bakarisma, to lead again to continue this conference. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Samsul Arifin MSc, for your warm and motivating remarks. Your words have greatly encouraged today's insightful sessions. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we move to our speaker sessions, so let me share you about our next agenda. Our next agenda is related to the International Conference on Mental Health Crossroads, Psychology, Religion, Social, Culture, Community in the Digital World that will be held on 9 up to 11 September 2026. So if you are interested in joining our program, the topic will be, there are 8 topics: cultural perspectives on mental well-being, community-based mental health interventions, mental health in industrial, digital, and modern era, vulnerable groups and social justice, policy, educations, and mental health advocacy, built environment, architecture, and psychological well-being, law, justice, and mental health governance, and the last is religion, social determinants, and community mental health. So if you are interested in joining this conference or in joining this program, please feel free to attend, and then we are going to announce the further information related to this program. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so now we move to the main sessions of today's agenda. And then the first speaker session is the presentations by Professor Dr. Tulus Winarsunu MSI from University of Muhammadiyah Malang. And the sessions will be moderated by Mr. Hanif Akhtar, MA PhD, who will guide the discussions and facilitate the interactions during the Q&A sessions. Please welcome Mr. Hanif Akhtar, MA PhD, and Professor Dr. Tulus Winarsunu MSc. The screen is yours.
Thank you, Miss Karisma. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Prof. Tulus, please let me introduce yourself. Introduce you before you start your presentation. Hi, everyone. My name is Hanif Akhtar, and I will be the moderator for this session of the International Conference Mental Health in the Global Context. I'm very excited to be here with all of you today. Before we start the presentation, I would like to introduce the 5 incredible speakers that will present their lecture in this today's conference. The first speaker is Professor Tulus Winarsunu from University of Muhammadiyah Malang, and the second speaker is Dr. M. Sayuti Hasan from University Kebangsaan Malaysia. And the third speaker is Professor Sun Min Wei from Asia University Taiwan. I hope I pronounce his name correctly. Usually we call him Prof. Blake. That's the most common name for us. And the fourth speaker is Dr. Helena Granziera from University of New South Wales, Australia. And the last speaker is Professor Aureliano Pacciola, a forensic psychologist and psychotherapist from Italy. Before we begin, I would like to give some information about the flow and the rule of this session. First, we will listen to each speaker deliver their presentation one by one, and I will introduce the speaker first in the beginning of the presentation, and each speaker will have 30 minutes to present their topics. After speaker present their topic, we will have 15 minutes for Q&A session. All participants may raise your hand and open your microphone if you wish, or you can also write down in the chat room. When asking question, please mention your name, affiliation, and your question. And I will also remind the speakers in the last 5 minutes by raising my hand on the Zoom, or I can also
Mr. Hani, your words is disappear. Your voice is disappear. We cannot hear your voice.
sorry. Can you hear my voice now?
Okay, it's already back. Check again,
Okay.
Mr. Hanif.
Okay.
Okay,
Check.
yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
I think
already again.
there is a problem with my headset. So during my during I spoke, all of them are missing, or can you hear something from me? Can you hear a little bit when I was saying, or all of them are missing? Is it still? Can you hear my voice, Miss Karisma? Maybe you can.
Yes, clearly.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry for the technical error. I didn't realize that my voice is missing. So yeah, good afternoon again, everyone. I'm Hamdi Akhtar, and I will be your moderator for this session. We will have 5 incredible speakers. Before we start the session, I will give the information about the flow and the rule of this session. First, we will have each speaker deliver their presentation one by one, and I will introduce the speakers at the beginning of the presentation, and each speaker will have 30 minutes of the presentation times. And after each speaker present their topics, we will have 15 minutes of Q&A session. Participants may raise your hand and open your microphone if you wish, or you can also write your question in the chat room. When asking, please mention your name, affiliation, and question. And I will remind the speakers in the live 5 minutes, okay? For all participants online, please mute your microphone. Okay, now without further ado, let's begin our speaker session. Our first speaker is Professor Tulus Winarsunu. Hello and welcome, Prof. Tulus. Are you
Halo,
here with us?
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. How are you, Prof. Tulus?
I'm fine.
Okay. Even though Prof. Tulus has already popular among us, but first I need to introduce you to all the audience. So yeah, Prof. Tulus is a professor at University of Muhammadiyah Malang in the field of industrial and organizational psychology. He currently serves as the head of the doctoral program in the psychology at Universitas Muhammadiyah Malang. He has extensive experience in research, teachings, and academic leadership with publication in reputable and international journals. And one of his notable publications appeared in Helion, where he examined the impact of life skill training on student psychological well-being. And today, Prof. Tulus will share us about well-being in the context of Indonesian culture, a self-control perspective. I think it's a really interesting topic. And Prof. Tulus, the stage is yours. You can start your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Hanif. Also, Karisma and honorable vice directors, Mr. Professor Samsul Arifin, and also the other speakers today. And the last is the audience of the seminars. I would like to share our idea about how to understanding about the well-being. So especially well-being in Indonesia. So many reasons why I choose the topic, but especially well-being is to become domain that important in our lives. To make my share of knowledge is clearer. I would like to share by myself the articles. Okay. Wait a minute. Yeah. So this is my tema today, well-being in the context of Indonesian cultures, by the perspective of self-conscious rules. In the first, what I want to say to you, well-being is anything that to become indicators of our quality as a human life. So it is everyone's want to reach in the situation that he or she get the well-being situations. And the second is about the whatever we want, whatever we do in our life is depend on if in our lives get the well-being or not. This is important in multiple lives domain like health and education. Also the we live together in our society. So what is the well-being? Well-being in the maybe the short definition maybe is about the one's capacity to live with a positive emotional state and evaluate life as satisfactory across various life setting. But because well-being is a complex idea that has been widely studied around the world, well-being can understood as a multifaceted and elaborate concept that included various dimensions and aspects of human experience. The research about the well-being has been extensive research, exploration among different population and cultural settings globally, resulting in a significant collection of knowledge and understanding surrounding this phenomenon. But most research has traditionally has been rooted in Western perspectives, which may not fully capture the experiences of non-Western communities. This highlights the importance of more refined understanding of well-being that consider cultural specific, particularly in non-Western context. So one important theory mentions about how we understanding about well-beings with the perspective maybe more complicated is a construal theory. Yeah. In the many research, this is we can see here well-being research is what is has kind of established factors. Many research doing in Westerns, also the what the Westerns view of the well-being, but it is rare to in the what is the non-Westerns, and the result is many result of the well-being research is find a kind of the cultural bias and also a lack of cultural perspective. So in my conclusion to see deeper about the gaps of the well-being research is this is limited in Western research. Also, I mean in Indonesia. So I would like to explain some proof, some idea why in Indonesia is not completely if we compare with the Western focus. So one theory that can explanation clearer about the how we understanding about the well-being research from the Western versus non-Western, we can use construal theory. Yeah, what is self-construal theory? This is maybe what the construal theory is. It is about how individuals define themselves, either as independent from others or interdependent with others. So there are two self-construal. The first is about the independent selves, and generally independent self for the Western country, and then interdependent with others is for the non-Western country, also in Indonesia. So why we choose the self-construal theory? Because the first is this is a help explaining the gap in well-being recent research. Also, the research search for better explanation for well-being research in different contexts or cultures. So our conclusion here, Western cultures use what we call independent self-construal, and then the East Asian culture, include Indonesia, use the interdependent self-construals. It means that independent is rarely in individual. So, but interdependent server is what is rarely in how relation among the humans. So there is interdependent among the people. So how to relations? How about the relation self-construal and well-being? Independent self-construal is I mean this is what is in the Western countries. The characteristics are emphasizing personal autonomy and achievements, also leading to well-being through individual success in freedom. So here, individual or personal is important thing to get the well-being. It is not necessary to to build relationship with others because the point of view the independent self-construal is always individual and always personal that the important thing in the way to get the well-being. But in the interdependent self-control, focusing on social cohesion and also the community connectedness, also enhancing well-being through strong social bond. So here we can see in this slide, the differences between the two self-control is the contrast. So in the independent it is not necessary as our society, it is not necessary to the others, but here it is impossible to get the well-being without others. So maybe we focus in the interdependent set constructs. This one, how the cultural influence on well-being put in the Western culture, also the non-Western cultures. Here in the Western cultures, the important thing is autonomy and freedom, because the individuals or personnel can get the well-being by themselves. Also, what the personal achievement is to become an important factor to get the well-beings. So we focus in the independent self-control. So it means that we focus in the Western cultures. But here, to become get the well-being situations, someone have to go to the others, have to go to the community to make support to the community and also the religion. And social connectedness is the key. How someone can get the well-being. Okay, so clear here, the two both of the self-control different ways to get the well-being. So I would like to focus in non-Westerns because in one side there is a gap, little research use the perspective of the non-Westerns. I mean, non-Western is Indonesia. Also, in the previous research in the ASEAN or Asia country like China, India, use the the perspective of self-control and use the non-Westerns. And what the cultural factor including in the Indonesia? We know well about our country in Indonesia. Like we have a kind of perception that spiritual belief is important thing. Also family, also the commoner, and this is the basic needs about our food, our house, maybe. So in Indonesia, like spiritual beliefs, why spiritual belief important to non-Western Indonesia cultures to get the well-being? Because spiritual belief enhance kind of, we have inner peace in our inside. In our inside there is a kind of inner peace because spiritual can in the coping strategy, and we aware about something in our inner body to make our more safely. It sometimes we find the complicated situation or the problem situation. So spiritual can can cope, can solve our problems. This is important for in Indonesia for non-Western spiritual, but the spiritual it is not it is not available in human in Western cultural. Also the family is not only important for us, but family is more important. Yeah, very important. Family cohesion. So we always need our family situations in a safe condition because family cohesion strengthens community bond through material support. So family is important thing for the Indonesians people to get the situation in well-being situations. Also the communal sports. Communal sport fosters spiritual growth within the community, and we need neighbor, we need social relationship, we need some others to collaborations. So communal support is important thing to build the well-being situation. And this is exactly yes, because basic need fulfillment ensure individual material stability like food, job, and then our house maybe, and the tool that we use in everyday lives. So there is the reason why in Indonesia is different with the Western cultural, because we have many things as kind of the spiritual, communal sport, basic need, and also family cohesion. Yes, this is how we enhancing well-being through communal activities. This is yes in psychology, stress reductions. If sometime we get a stress situation, you just go to the community, you just go to our group, your group to doing the same thing like sports, maybe singing together. So group sport also maybe community cleanups can reduce the stress. It is not necessary to go to the counselor. It is not necessary to go to the psychologist. Just go to your friends, your neighbors, your groups to reduce your stress. So here, this is the way of in Indonesia a cultural factor that can reduce the stress. Also, this is social support system. We have someone. We have college. We had partner can bring the emotional sports. Also, we maybe every day we can we got practical help from our neighbors, from our friend, from our colleagues to get the social supports. So here is the proof that if we get the social support from someone, from others, it means that what is possible to get the well-being. Okay, and also the maybe group discussion, cultural event. There's many cultural event in our country. Yeah, many, and also the groups Maybe in discussion is not always in formal situation, group informal discussion. So we have a learning and growth because our friend, because our cultures, and also here, and someone to become resilient, not by the training, maybe not by the learning with in the formal school. Resilient, according to our in cultural, we can, what is this, collective identity. As a Muslim, as a, what is Indonesian, as what is originally, okay? So this is very important to someone to get the well-being. Also, this is a reciprocal relationship, giving support, receiving support to reciprocal. If someone give us something and then we want to, I want to also the give to the my friend, my neighbor maybe who give support to us. So reciprocal is important. And the end is cultural engagement, like local festival, community prayers. Also in the Ramadan month here, we we have been get many things that can what our life is more better, maybe more well-being. Okay, it is a cultural engagement. So many factor here how to enhance well-being through the communal activities. Yes, they say all of the factor is on the communal activities. Here, Indonesian family orientation. We can show here. One is about the family harmony. Family harmony is yes, the number one. The number one for us. Imagine that our family is not in a harmony situation. Whatever we got, what is unbreakable situation. Okay, so family harmony is one thing that we can satisfactory with our lives. So here, family harmony is core of the Indonesian social life. Family the number one area that we have to build in a harmony situation, and also social support. Social support is it is not strength for Indonesian people because we always helping someone and reciprocal both of the people helping each others, the social sports, foundation of the family well-being. Okay, and also we have a family, extended family. We have what is big family. This is a reinforced bond and belonging, and also the mutual support, reciprocal among family members. That's the important thing in Indonesian family orientations. This is social well-being in Indonesia. The one is collective well-being. So well-being is not only the what is the individual thing. So we cannot rate the well-being situation by only myself or ourselves, but we need someone. We need others. We need the others to what is to not only learn, this is a collective well-being. And this also the community engagement. Active participant in local activities to make our lives more satisfactions, because we need certain self-acceptance from our socials. And the third is a positive relationship, strong bond with the neighbor and group. Also, the factor that can increase our positive relationship. It means that if we get the positive relationship with the others, so we get the situation that in the satisfactory situation, in the well-being situation. This is a social well-being. It means that need the others, no socials. And also we have a social cultural norm, cultural values, embracing harmony. There is a rule in our social. There is a what is kind of the general rule and how and what thing that can do and don't, something like this, and can do increase the social well-being. And this is spirituality. Spirituality is influence on daily well-being. So if we want to make a mechanism to coping strategy, if maybe sometime we got the situation in unfavorable situation, in the not good situation, like we have more demand, we have more workload, and we can maybe praying is one that can to become a ways to reduce our stress. Yeah, it is a coping mechanism. So praying is can to become a ways to coping mechanism. And in psychology, we have many coping strategy, at least two coping strategy, problem focus coping, and also the emotional focus coping. And I offering to you that again, there is a coping mechanism by the praying, by the what is spirituality, and also the community, collective praying. I mean jamaah, collective praying, and then religious occasions. It is make our daily well-being is grow and grow. Yeah. Also, how to make we more resilience. Because we have a belief in higher power. So there is a power that can support our energy to make our condition is more resilient, yeah, and also emotional stability. And also self-acceptance. Self-acceptance is how we accept whatever our conditions. In Java, terminology is nrimo. Nrimo. What is nrimo? Is acceptance. Yeah, self-acceptance. Whatever we got, whatever that happened in our family, in ourselves, yeah, just self-assessment by contemplations, and also by positive outlook, we can accept our selves. Okay? And also usually we have to say gratitude because many things we got from the God, many things we got in our lives, and by gratitude praying, we can more free, yeah, more relaxed, and also more aware that we is a thing. Yeah. So this is maybe spiritually influenced on daily well-being. And
Sorry, Prof. Tulus, you have 3 minutes.
okay, this is my last what is this presentation? The role of religion here. Yeah. Okay. We have to gratitude every day because foster appreciation and contentment, also self-assessment encourage personal growth, of offer reason and social connection, and prayer. Yes, prayer is important thing because provide comfort and directions. Spiritual essential to cope, essential for cope and find inner peace, and also this is important thing. Islamic faith, because the dominant religion shapes Indonesian cultures. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Prof. Tulus,
Thank you
for
very much,
your
Prof.
introducing presentation. Now we will begin our Q&A session. For participants who would like to ask a question, you can raise your hand and you can open your mic. Okay, we have one participant raising his hand. Miss Anissa Hasan Shihab, you can open your mic and you can ask your question.
Yes, thank you. I would like to ask, so I'm Anissa from S2 Psychology, UMM. And I would like to ask to Professor Tulus. So you mentioned about the independent self-control, which emphasize on the personal independency. While as Indonesian, we find ourselves locked in spiritual beliefs, family cohesion, also communal support. But sometimes we lost ourselves, that we cannot maintain our own well-being because we are locked in those aspects. So my question is, do you think it is a wise thing to combine between those two self-control aspects? So we can combine between the independent and interdependent self-control in our life. Because I think sometimes we do need autonomy and total freedom to decide important aspects in our lives. So do you think we can combine, or should we just choose one of them? Thank you. That's my question.
Okay, thank you, Miss Anissa. I think because we have limited time, so for this session, I limit one question only. So, Prof. Tulus, maybe you can directly answer the question.
Yeah. Thank you, Anissa. So it is possible to combine both of self-control, independent and also interdependent. But if we talk about the culturals, to become a perspective to look deeper about the well-being by the cultural, so we have to choose one. But for the practical function, for practical situation, I mean that it is not about the research, it is not about the how to differentiate it about the two of self-control. Yes, we can combine because this is to practical function. So yes, because the human is not only need others, but also the growth of the personal. So individual is also the important thing. So maybe we can differentiate it when we use the put in the combine, and it is not spirit. And I use this. We use have to in spirit situation. the problem is we still in the research, but if you want to combine about the two, the self-control, independent, interdependent, this is possible, but this is maybe the too practical, yes, because we need the autonomy, need the individual growth, something like this. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you,
Prof. Tulus.
Professor.
Miss Anissa, are you clear with the answer? I think it's pretty clear, right? Okay, so yeah, I'm so sorry because we have limited time, so we should limit only one question for the first speaker. But if you have further question related to Prof. Tulus' presentation, I hope Prof. Tulus, can you answer more question outside this forum? Is it okay for you, Prof?
Sure. Yes. All right.
Okay. So if you have any question toward Prof. Tulus, you can address the question to the committee, and the committee will forward the question to Prof. Tulus, and we can have another discussion outside this forum. Okay. So once again, thank you, Prof. Tulus, for your wonderful presentation. Now, we would like to present certificate for our first speaker. The certificate will be displayed on the screen. Yes. Okay. Once again, thank you, Prof. Tulus, for the material presented today. It's really insightful presentation. Thank you, Prof. Tulus.
It does matter. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, now we will move to our next presentation. We will have Dr. Muhammad Sayuti Hasan. Hello and welcome, Dr. Sayuti. Are you here with us?
Yes,
Okay,
thank
thank
you very
you.
much.
How are you today?
I'm good, Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so before we start the presentation from Dr. Sayuti, I would like to give the introduction first. So, Dr. Sayuti Hasan is a senior lecturer at the Center for International Law and SIAR, or CILAS, Faculty of Law, University Kebangsaan Malaysia, Bangi. He obtained his PhD and his master's in law from UKM, and obtained his law degree from International Islamic University, Malaysia. He was second to the Parliament of Malaysia as head of the Research and Library Division from 2019 till 2019, right? 16 till 2019. In addition, he also served as Deputy Public Prosecutor at the Attorney General's Chamber, Sarawak branch in 2009 before joining academia. His research interests are indigenous issue, international law, criminal law, international humanitarian law, and legislative studies. And welcome again, Dr. Sayuti. Now you can start your presentation, and the stage is yours.
All right, thank you very much. Allow me to share my slides. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, okay.
Yes.
Let me start proper. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Ramadan Kareem to all our Muslim friends, distinguished chair, honorable colleagues, academic and distinguished guest participants in the International Conference 2026 on Mental Health in a Global Context, Interdisciplinary Perspective of Psychology, Education and Law. My title today in particular is on mental health law in Malaysia, intersections of human rights and criminal justice, and it is such an honor and privilege to speak to all of you today. And thank you very much, Brother Hanif, Akhtar for very kind introduction of me just now. All right. Today I will talk about why mental health law matters. Does Malaysia have a mental health law? Do we have a specific act on that? And then what are the international benchmark? I will just touch a very brief on international benchmark on convention of person with disability. And then area of compliance, in particular, I look at the Malaysian as example, and then area of tension or what are the issue and challenges faced by Malaysia, and then moving forward, a proposal for reform in this particular context on the issue of mental health. First of all, why mental health law matters. I'm not showing you what are the really statistic happened on the mental health, which you can Google how serious the mental health now happen in our community, in particular among our student, among our staff, among our colleague, especially after COVID-19. You may agree and you may disagree, but it happened in our community. And mental health law is not merely about hospital, it's about power. All right. Can I continue? And why is it power? Because mental health law assist in regulate deprivation of liberty, and I will explain why it regulates liberty and why to a certain extent the vulnerable people which suffer mental health have a compulsory treatment, and they whether the question next question whether they have a criminal responsibility and what are their legal capacity and so on so forth. And this topic is very extraordinary, especially unlike many other area of law. Mental health permits the state to intervene even the person is not committed a crime. If they committed a crime, there is one issue, because in criminal law, liberty is restricted because of they committed a crime. But in mental health law, liberty may be restricted because of their vulnerability. And mental health issue is very important for us to discuss, like this conference discourse, because it involves medical issues, human rights issues, and criminal justice. And we have to look forward at least to meet the minimum standards of Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, which I believe Indonesia also a party to it. All right. Next. Okay, allow me to define what does it mean by right to health and what are the international standards on a right to health. According to WHO Constitution, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, not merely absence of disease or infirmity. That means now mental health is within the ambits of this right to health. And we also should refer to the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, ICECSR. Through Article 12, it adopts the same definition in the preamble of WHO Constitution, with addition the highest level of physical and mental health. What I want to emphasize here that mental health is really a concern not only in Malaysia, not only in Indonesia, is a global phenomenon. All right. And the next question is, does Malaysia have mental health law? And the answer is, of course, yes, we have mental health law, and we have a specific act, a primary statute. If you can see on your screen now, we have Mental Health Law Act, Mental Health Act 2001, Act 6105. We also have mental health regulation, and we also have other regulation in support of these two. And one of the achievements towards meeting the international standards, Malaysia, through Parliament of Malaysia, decriminalized attempted suicide in 2023. This is one of the positive recognition or positive development on the mental health law, which I will elaborate even further after this. And even though this is mental health law, there are few other laws which is relevant. Obviously, federal constitution, which is the highest law of the land, is relevant. Penal code, especially when it involves general defenses, and criminal procedure code. And last but not least is a human right law, is Person with Disability Act 2008. That's why the topic, if you remember, my topic says intersects between of human rights and criminal justice, because the law related to it is involved, human rights as well as criminal justice. As I explained just now, mental health intersects between criminal law, disability law, and constitutional liberty, which directed on the issue of human rights. Like I explained just now, in 2023, Malaysia decriminalized. That is can be considered as a major shift from punitive approach to therapeutic response to the issue of mental health. All right, I'm not gonna discuss in detail what are the content of Mental Health Act of 2001, but definitely you can Google what are the Mental Health Act, the content. Among others, it covers voluntary admission, involuntary admission, discharge procedure, community, psychiatrics, and so on and so forth. But this is among others that we need to go further to discuss about the relevancy between mental health law and the penal code. And then after this, I will refer to criminal procedure code and the specific act on the person with the disability and so on and so forth. Let us examine one by one. Penal code in Malaysia is the primary law which cater on the criminal cases, right? We have Act 574, which addresses mental disorder primarily in the context of criminal responsibility. If you can see on the right-hand side, Section 8 on the defense of insanity. If the accused been charged in the court of competent jurisdiction, for example, in a court, in sessions court or magistrate courts, and they invoke the defense of insanity, if they success, they will go scot-free, but it's subject to the CPC, which I will explain a little bit later. This is basically the full provision of Section 84 of Penal Code, which nothing is an offense if at the times of doing or committing a crime, the person by reasons of unsound of mind was incapable of knowing the nature of the act, or that what he was doing at that particular moment was wrong and contrary to the law. What is the effect if the accused successfully invoke the defense of insanity. If succeeded, is if the accused established the case, the accused is not criminally responsible. That means as if he did not he can be escaped from the liability, criminal liability. However, it does not necessarily mean immediate freedom, and this lead my next assessment to the Criminal Procedure Code. All right, I will touch about decriminalization of suicide a bit later after this, but let us go to CPC. If you are escape from the criminal liability, you are not automatically freedom from the charge, but the CPC, however, address two key situations. Number one, fitness to plead. If you committed a crime and at that particular time you are in situations of unsound of mind, the court believe the accused is unsound of mind and incapable of making a defense, the court may conduct the inquiry about the status of the unsound of mind. Number two, the court may order medical examination and proceeding may be postponed. And why this is important? This is very important to safeguard and to protect the fair trial in the criminal cases. And the situation number two, if the accused escaped the criminal liability and acquitted by reasons of unsound of mind, under Article 84, the court may order detention in safe custody if he escaped from the criminal liability on the reasons of unsound of mind. The person may be confined in psychiatric facility or custody, and release is often subject to executive decision. This is significantly important to look into the human right aspects as well, because detention may become indeterminate, right? Okay, and then the next act which involve mental health law, this is a very specific act on the Persons with Disability Act 2008, PWDA. This act basically I argue this is a very human rights act which adopts human right-based approach. In particular, if you look at section 2, it defines person with disability, and section 3, it highlighted the principle of human right. For example, respect for dignity and non-discrimination is a very important principle under the human rights, and full participation in society. These all including those involved in mental health issue, because if you look at to the section 2 of definition, it defines person with disability to include those long-term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairment, right? And then of course section 29 provide on the access to health. Okay, this is another important concern when we talk about human right and mental health law. Why is it important? Constitution provide a very foundational human right framework. In particular, if we look at the Article 5, Clause 1, right to life and personal liberty. If you can read here, no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty save in accordance with law. Article 8, equality before law. And let us go through one by one. Article 5 is a constitutional anchor on the mental health law because provision itself may govern involuntary psychiatric detention, and it involves hospitalization, and that if you are wrongly detained or deprived their right of freedom of movement, it will be against the law. And Article 8, in particular, it involves equality before the law and the principle of non-discrimination law. Even though the federal constitution doesn't specify clearly or explicitly the list of non-discrimination, but the court may interpret, or the law may be interpreted equality broadly to include mental health. Okay, this is international benchmark Convention on the Rights of Person with Disability, which Malaysia is ratified, and we actually domesticated this convention into a domestic act, which the act the act of person PWDA is a transformation of to indicate that Malaysia have the international obligation to implement the convention. And what I want to highlight here, the CRPD highlight the core principle to equality before the law, non-discrimination, legal capacity, supported decision-making, freedom from arbitrary detention, which is all must be read together with other human right law. And the point is, we have to do justice to those who involve or suffer or vulnerable to the issue of mental health. Okay, this is another aspect which I think important for me to highlight. Number one is area of compliance, which something can be learned from Malaysia, is that Malaysia demonstrate compliance of several aspects, in particular CRPD, existence of modern statute. We have the Mental Health Act, we have regulation, we have PWA, and then we define criteria of involuntary admission. There are procedural medical safeguard. There are certain regulation to address the issue of mental health. And in 2023, the parliaments of Malaysia decriminalized the attempted suicide. Until 2023, attempted suicide was a crime under Section 309 of the Penal Code, meaning that a person who survived attempted suicide could be arrested, could be investigated and prosecuted, and fined, perhaps maybe also imprisoned. And this legal framework treated suicidal behavior maybe due to mental health issue as a crime rather than as a manifestation of severe psychological distress. However, Malaysia took a very positive shift towards from the punishment to care, from punishment to therapeutic response to the issue. And by decriminalizing attempted suicide, Malaysia sent a very powerful message that individuals in crisis require compassion and support, not sanction, not punishment, and not shame. Yeah. I'm not really sure whether the criminal law in Indonesia, the position of attempted suicide, is it a crime or not in Indonesia? But in Malaysia in particular, we decriminalize it. All right, next. Okay, this is among others the issues, and I would like to highlight that there is no mental capacity acts, and then these are among the structural challenges. Of course, it would be good if we have more psychiatrists. And then another issue, rural-urban disparity. Those who are living in rural area may face challenges when it comes to the issue of mental health as compared to those who are living in an urban area, which more easier for them to reach helps, seek assistance from the psychiatrist and so on and so forth. And obviously this the issue of awareness on the mental health issue is very important to address as well, which I believe this platform, the conference on mental health issue, is one of the effort to make awareness among students, among lecturers, among community that mental health issue really matters. All right. Another issue is another issue or structural challenges is cultural stigma, which when it involves mental health and the community tend to associate with unsound of mind, or dalam bahasa Melayunya kita panggil gila and whatnot, which mental health issue needs to be helped, needs to be assisted, needs to be referred to the professional, medical professional, need to be referred to the professional psychiatrist. And one of the problem, no comprehensive capacity law. Okay, how to address the issue moving forward? And obviously, I would recommend to have a mental capacity act, establish independent mental health tribunal, introduce supported decision-making model in line with CRPD, the international law standard, and strengthen forensic mental health services, increase community based care, right? This will address the earlier issue on the cultural stigma. And as a conclusion, I would like to highlight few things. Number one, mental health law is a mirror of how a legal system treats vulnerability. This is not the issue of health anymore. This is the issue of human rights. This is the issue of justice. We should treat them in just and according to the law. And I hope other law in other parts of the world, the law on mental health evolving, and as in Malaysia, we move from the colonial detention to medical regulation by having a specific law and to the right recognition. And not only that, we shouldn't stop there. We should move forward by empower and having a specific act on the capacity act. We are there, almost there, but we need to move forwards to align with CRPD transformative action. And the problem is the challenges is not the legal problem only. It is rooted in cultural, institutional, and constitutional, but it is a political will to move forward, because this is on the issue of human rights. This is to ensure that align with the criminal justice. All right. And we have to carefully balance, guided by human right, constitutional safeguard, and principle of the criminal justice. With that, I end my sharing here on the mental health law based on the experience of Malaysia. I'm looking forward, perhaps you also can share your input on the mental health law in Indonesia. With that, thank you. Should you have any uh, question, you can pose a question, and you also can reach me via this email, sayutihasan@ukm.edu.my. With that, I pass back the floor to Mr. Moderator, Brother Hanif.
Thank you, Dr. Sayuti, for your really excellent presentation and also for keeping it perfectly within the allocated time. It's
pleasure.
really in time. Okay, so we still have time for Q&A session. For the first session, maybe I open for 2 questions. If there are any question, okay, and there are 2 participants raising their hand. The first question maybe from Professor Aureliano. Okay,
Okay.
Prof, you can
Yes.
ask your
Thank
question.
you very much. Good morning, everybody. And thank you to Dr. Sayuti for this
Please
presentation.
call me Sayuti.
My question to Dr. Sayuti is about the psychological or psychiatric assessment of the mental health. If you please can give us more information about the assessment procedure to give the diagnosis of mental health. Do you have a psychological assessment or psychiatric? You make a difference, doctor psychologist and doctor psychiatrist. And another question would be, what is the procedure? Is only one psychologist or one psychiatrist appointed by the judge, or maybe 2 professionals, one from the accusation and one from the defense? Or maybe do you have a team, more than 2 professionals? So that's my question. If you can give us, please, more information about the procedure for assessing mental health. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you, Professor Aureliano. We can keep the question first, and maybe for the second participant, Miss Shirin Muhammad, you can open your microphone and raise your
Okay.
question.
Thank you, Dr. Suti. Thank you for presenting your speech about mental health is not only luxury or from psychological standpoint, it's also a part of citizens' right or human rights. My question, I know Malaysia has a lot of many in ethnicity, many religion. So my question related to how law in Malaysia consider different ethnicity in managing or dealing with people with mental disorder, especially in case of accusation of crime, and also in case of violence in marriage based on mental disorder. I mean, I'm refer in my question about I refer to the religious values that the law in Malaysia consider it.
Sorry, I didn't get you, Mrs. Shirin. Can you conclude your
Explain.
question
Okay,
just
I
now?
can elaborate my question again. My question
All
is
right.
related to law in Malaysia. I know in Malaysia you have many ethnicity and even religion. So my question is related to how law in Malaysia consider these people. So these people, especially in managing with people, they have mental disorder in case of accusation of crime, and also in cases of violence in marriage.
Oh, violence. All right. Okay.
Okay, so we have 2 questions. The first one from Prof. Aureliano ask about the procedure, about the diagnosis. Maybe if Dr. Sayuti have any insight about this, please elaborate. And the
All
second
right.
question is from Sherin. Okay, Dr. Sayuti, the
All
stage
right.
is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof, for your question. Your question requires a very specific reference to certain section which I do not have the privilege. But in terms of procedure, we have a specific act on the Mental Health Act 2001, which define a psychiatrist, medical officer and whatnot, which I can share with you, Prof, on the law itself. And in terms of procedure, if the person is you know successfully invoke on the issue of unsound of mind, the procedure that the court will order whether send him to the custody, and it must be what you call it must be examined on the psychiatric because in Malaysia the act mental health act have the procedure, and the CPC or criminal procedure code is also have the criteria. But to answer you how many person and whatnot, I should get back to you to identify the number, but the law says so, and the court have that procedure to examine, to assess the situation or the mental health of the what we call the accused person. I move to the second. I can assist you more, Prof, after this by sharing with you a specific section of law, provisions of law pertaining to the detailed procedure. I shall move to the second one. Yes, in Malaysia we have different ethnicity. We have also different religion. But as I mentioned in my presentation, everybody is equal before the law under Article 8 of our federal constitution. All persons are equal before the law and entitled to equal protections of the law, regardless of your religion, regardless of your ethnicity, regardless of your gender and whatnot. This is including on the issue of violence in marriage and whatnot, because we uphold on the issue of non-discrimination that is safeguarded under our constitutional law. The constitutional law is the highest law of the land in Malaysia. Any law which is go against it, or go against the federal constitution, or ultra violates the federal constitution, will be null and void. So my conclusions to your answer, yeah, they are equal before the law and entitled to equal protection of the law. And even though disability was not listed for non-discrimination listed, but the court may interpret it equality broadly to include on the issue of mental health or disability. I hope I answer you, Shireen.
Okay,
Thank you,
thank you,
Dr.
Dr.
Sayuti.
Sayuti, Prof. Aureliano, and Miss Shirin. Maybe you can confirm that the answer has satisfied you, or you have any elaboration about the question?
No, thank you, Dr. Sayuti.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's really interesting presentation and discussion, but unfortunately we have to move to
Thank you
the
very much.
next presenter. So once again, thank you, Dr. Sayuti, for a really interesting presentation, and it's something new for me because I'm basically from psychology, and I learned a lot about law of mental health aspect. Okay, so. Now we would like to present the certificate for Dr. Sayuti. Oh, sorry. Um, sorry, about the presentation. Okay. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
so thank you once again, Dr. Sayuti, for your wonderful presentation. And we have to move to the next presenter. Okay. For the next presenter, we have Professor Suen Min Wei. I hope I pronounce your name correctly. But we always call him Prof. Blake. Okay, Prof. Blake, are you here with us?
Yes, yes. Is that clear for my voice?
Yeah. We can hear you clearly, but a little bit echo. I'm not sure what's
Nah,
wrong.
konsep sudah.
Okay. Okay,
Sama
Prof. Blake,
kali.
who are you?
Yes,
Ini panjang tuh ini.
I'm ready.
Ada banyak dibuat oleh, disetujui oleh, diketik oleh,
I'm
diklik.
sorry.
Ya.
Maybe for participants, can you mute your microphone? Okay, perfect. Okay, Prof. Blake, is it okay for me to call you Prof. Blake because it's easier for me to pronounce your name?
Okay, yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I think I think all the topic is quite interesting in this conference, and also we believe the mental health in the global is very important too. And I heard some of the topics in this conference, and I know that is a very, very wonderful and interesting topic. My name is Mingwei Sun. Yeah, you just pronounced very well. Yeah, I come from Taiwan, and I work in the university. Asia University, and I'm in psychology. My specialty field is in social psychology. So today I'm quite trying to share my research, the title which is the mental health and the human-animal bonds in a global content, interdisciplinary study of the pet type, personality, and well-beings. Actually, as we know, this topic is quite a human life topics because as we know, many people they have their pets, and also in Taiwan, a lot of the people they would like to have the pet, especially like the cat and the dog. And actually, some of the countries they prefer the dog or they prefer the cat, but sometimes we would like to say some of the person who is quite interested specialty in one of the pets. Yeah, for example, we have the very interesting movie we call the Cat and Dog. Yeah, maybe you have heard about this movie. And in this movie, we know that the cat or dog, they are quite kind of the to fight each other and try to draw attention from their human being owners. And actually, sometimes in our daily life, we also mention about the dog person or the cat person. But actually, can we try to find out if the interaction with the pet is quite helpful or supporting our mental health? Maybe we can try to encourage person, especially during the COVID-19 periods. Yeah, we know that periods, the people, they cannot do the very appropriate interpersonal relationship or the interaction with others. So that's the reason maybe they will try to spend more time on with their pets. Yeah, so in here, I just want to show about the topic about this research. As we mentioned about that, the WHO, they also noticed that the global rise in depression and the anxiety. That means that we have the very stress on our mental health. But the pet ownership is also increasing relevant to the psychological well-being. So some of the researchers, they also find out the well-being is also related to your interaction with the pets. So I don't know, maybe you have the pets at home or not. Yeah, but sometimes maybe this topic is quite interesting for all of us. And sometimes we also need to have some needs to interact or to do the research between the pet type and the personality traits. Actually, some of the research, they also point out some person, they will, some kind of the personality person, maybe they would like to have the dog at home, some of them, they would like to have the cats. So maybe for this kind of the target, all this topic, if we can try to match or try to have the good or appropriate pets kind, maybe we can have the good mental health as well. So in this study, we try to address the gap between the dog owner, cat owner, or the dog and the cat owners to compare their well-beings. And also, we want to look at their mental health. The other way is the personality is also the potential moderators of the mental health effect. So we want to know if we have the personality kinds differences. Maybe we can try to find out the different mental health in the human beings. So this study integrates the Big 5 personality scales, DAS-21 scale, PWB, and the WHO-5 scales into the one model. So maybe we just try to introduce about this research. So from the researchers, we can know human and animal that we have the bond. And previous researchers, they also highlight the evaluation significance of the human affection for their pets. So some of the pet owners, they will try to demonstrate how they need from their pets, and maybe the pet can give them the companionship, improve their physical health, but also maybe they will also increasing their psychological resilience. And also the other researchers, they conduct a systematic review. They're showing out that the pets support emotional regulation. So if we have the good interaction with our pet, maybe we can have the good motivation. I mean, the emotional regulations. And also, pets can enhance our social connection and attachment securities. Yeah, so maybe that's the reason we are trying to focus on this topic. And also the other literature review, they also point out the Big 5 personality. Also, they are quite interested related to the different pets. For example, like the dog owners, maybe they have the higher extraversion and agreeableness. And the cat owner, they have the higher openness. Sometimes they have the higher neuroticism. So in this results, maybe we can know if we can try to use the Big 5 personality and try to figure out those 5 different kind of the personality. Maybe they can also influence our match with our pets. And also the DAS-21 is quite maybe the popular questionnaire or the scales in the research. So indeed here, we can try to use this scale to find out the participants' depression, anxiety, and stress. So also the previous study, they try to figure out the emotional states in the pet-related studies. They also have the very interesting correlations. And also the very interesting scale is a variable is about the psychological well-beings. It's quite different to the happiness and certifications, for example. So in that case, we can know the psychological well-being right now is a very important too. So here we have the previous study. They also point out pets may reinforce a sense of the meaning and the environmental masteries. And also the WHO-5 is also we use to measure our well-being. So in here, we also try to know that the strongly correlation with the depression and the overall life satisfaction. So if the people, they have the more depression, maybe they will lower the scale of the WHO-5 scales. And the other way is if they are quite satisfied with their daily life, maybe they will higher scales. So if we try to summarize the literatures, we can find out, maybe we need to find out some evidence, empirical evidence to support the benefits of the pet ownership, and also the interaction with the personality traits remain under investigated. This study seems to clarify how pet type and ownership direction impact big five personality trait, DES-21, and the well-being scales. So here I try to point out the two kind of the top questions. First one is, how do pet type and the relationship duration related to the psychological well-being? The other one is, do personality traits moderate the impact of the pet companionship on the mental health? Maybe from my our research result, we cannot definitely point out the solution or the result, but actually we can find a trend about this kind of the topics. So we still want to increasing the more data and try to figure out the more analysis. So here we have the temporary results. The methods is we recruit the 217 adult pet owner in Taiwan. The pet owner, that means they should have the duration, the pet duration, more than like the 6 months. And here we try to divide the three different type of the pet type. For example, like the dog owner, cat owner, or both owner. And the duration would be the 1 to 2 years, 3 to 4 years, or above the 5 years. This is the Google survey, and also our instruments. Our tool is the Big Five and the DES-21, PWB scale, and the WHO-5. So the rest is our result. So in here, I just try to look at the effect of the pet ownership during the Big Five personality traits. The first one is, actually, we can find it's quite difficult to find a significant difference. So only on the extraversion and the 3 to 5 years group score, it is highest one. So that means maybe the pets ownership during our daily life, the only one personality type would be influenced by the pet internship. So in here, we also try to find out if we look at the one-way ANOVA results, we can find out it conduct to examine the difference in the Big Five personality across the three groups. So the result shows that the extraction was highest among the participants, and also who had the owner pets from 3 to 5 years, and followed by the 1 to 2 years, and the above the 5 years. And the similar traits also observed by the agreeableness and the consciousness. But interestingly, the neurotoxicity and the openness were slightly higher among those or longer pet ownership. So I think if we have the longer the pet ownership, maybe we will have the good and very nice the personality type. However, one of these differences researched statistical significance suggests that while we may settle the patterns during the alone, does not significantly alter personality traits in the sample. And also, if we look at our emotional, I mean that is the negative, the mental health, we can look at the result from the DES-21. Because DES-21 is related to the depression, anxiety, stress, but our results find out that there are no significant difference across the ownership duration. So that means there is no, if we have the longer duration, there is no difference between those three negative the mental health. But that doesn't mean if we have the pet ownership will increase our mental health, or we can just say they have the same effect on the different kind of the negative the mental health. And also, if we look at the well-beings, yeah, WHO-5 will be highest in the above 5 years group. So that means if we look at the dark blue bar, that will be more obviously to know that result. So I think that is also important too. If we can have the longer pet relationship, that means we can have the higher well-being feelings. And also the effect of the well-beings, we can find out that if we have the over 5 years pet relationship, that will be have the high score in the both PWB or the WHO-5. That means we can have the higher, the better well-beings. Among those differences did not reach the satisfaction significance, and also the possibly prolonged pet companionship on the psychological and the subject well-being. So that means if we can have the nice relationship with our pet, that will be help us to have the better life. And the big 5 threat by the pets, So because of time, I just try to quickly to show you about the research. So in here we divide the dog, cat, and the dog and the cat type of the person. And here we can try to realize that for the dog or the cat, we will not to find the very significant differences, but among the dog owner, extraction and the conscientiousness score will be high across all durations. But the cat owner score will higher in openness, but shows more variation in the neuroticism and the lower extraversion. So that means dog person or the cat person will have the different kind of the personality if they have the longer relationship. So maybe the cat person, they will choose because of their personality, they will choose the cat, but the dog person, they will try to choose dog because of their personality. But the owner of the both dog and cat, they will present a more balanced personality profiles. So here is about the day score by the pet type and the ownership durations. So we also can find they have some kinds of differences. But if people, they have the dog cats, they have a quite similar between their different duration and also the scale score from their depression, anxiety, and the stress. So in here, we can also try to know that among the dog, the lowest level of the depression, anxiety, and the stress. So also would be found in the above 5 years group. So that means if you have the dog, you will have the lowest negative mental health. And if you have a longer pet relationship, that will help. And also the cat owner, they have the similar result as well. So in contrast, the owner of the both dog and the cat will maintain the stable scores across all durations. So I think that is also quite important too. And for the well-beings by pet type and the ownership, we can have the very similar result. We can also find out from the figures I show on the screen. And also among the dog owner, that will indicate a trend of the improvement of well-being with the longer ownership. For the cat person, we can also show a less consistent pattern. So maybe for the dog person, the pattern will be more obviously, but from the cat owner, the pattern will still need more research to identify those patterns. For owner of both dog and cat, they also have the very interesting result as well. So our discussion will be the result of alien with the prior literature and the emotional buffer by the pets. So our results also support the previous researches and the specific traits influenced by the specific pet type. For example, like the extraversion and the openness as well. So for the dog person, maybe they are more extraversions, So that would be more interesting result. So findings support the pet assistance therapy model and tailored to the individual personality profile. The multi-pet ownership shows adaptive traits. And also the cross-section design cannot establish the casualties. And also the reliance on the self-report data. And we still need more further study. For example, like the longitudinal tracking, biological indicators, and the closeness and human-pet relationship. Yeah. And thank you for your attention. And we hope we can have the more interaction on the academic or the learning. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Blake, for your very interesting presentation. One quick question. Have you published the result of this study, Prof. Blake?
Actually, right now, we still try to do the further more analysis. So we only publish in the 2 conference, though today is one of the conference.
Okay. I can't wait to see the full paper because it's really interesting
Thank
study.
you.
Okay, now we will move to Q&A session since Prof. Blake presents in a very timely manner, so we still have time for Q&A session. For this session, I open to questions. Okay, there are 2 participants raise their hand. The first one is Miss Desi. Okay, you can open your mic.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Based on the explanation that Professor Sun explained, I curious about something. It's related on about the I'm so curious about the relations between whether someone identifies as a dog or cat person based on the childhood experience or cultural preference.
Yeah, actually, I heard some friends from the different cultures. Yeah, for example, because of their religion, some of the religion, maybe they by having those religion, they are quite feel time to interact with some kind of the pets. Yeah, for example, like the dog. Yeah. In Indonesia, because some of my students from Indonesia, they will mention that, okay, in their daily life, maybe they don't have the more time to interact with the dog. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I know sometimes they will, but we just want to know if they have the interaction with their pets. Yeah. What kind of the personality person they will try to choose a different kind of the pets. And also maybe the pet will influence their mental health, even the positive, like the well-being, or the negative, like the death. Yeah, 21 scales. Yeah, so I just try to figure out. But if the culture differences will influence their interaction with the pets, that means the culture or the religion will influence their pet relationship. Maybe we will try to also consider about that. Maybe the people in, for example, like Indonesia, they can have a different pet to replace a dog.
Yeah. We prefer
For
a cat.
example, yeah, what kind
Because
of the pet Indonesia will be
the
more popular?
relations about our religions too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is very important and a very interesting question. Thank you for your questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Blake and Miss Desi. Now for the next question, Mr. Muhammad Bilal Khan.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello,
Hello.
Bilal.
Thank you very much,
Can you
Hanif,
open
for
your
giving me
camera?
opportunity.
I think it's more interactive if you can see your face. Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hanif, for giving me opportunity. Actually, I would like to ask about the mental health in human-animal bonds according to your presentation, Prof. My question is, what type of bacteria present in a dog and cat hair have been found to potentially reduce the depressions and stress level in a human? And how do these findings inform our understanding of the mental health benefits of human-animal bonds?
Yeah, I think that is very important. For the first one question, if we look at the different time from my research, we can find out the longer relationship with their pets, they will have the lower negative mental health. That means they will have the less depression, mental health, and also the stress. But for the positive well-beings, we have the threat to find out those threats. Yeah, we cannot say they are significantly different, but that is the reason I need to the more researchers to focus on this topic and try to devote the more results. And the other one is about their quality of their interactions. Yeah, if they only have the pet, but they don't have the good quality of the interaction. For example, I just have the pet at home, but I don't want to interact with them. Maybe they don't have the more influence or reduce the depression as you mentioned. Yeah, but that is my next step to try to figure out if they have the very nice. What is the definition means the nice interaction. So sometimes I will also try to figure out that too. So your question is also important too.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you, Prof. Black and
Okay, thank
Mr.
you, Prof.
Bilal.
Thank you, Prof.
We still have time for one more question, if any question. No question. I see.
I still see someone raised.
Yeah, I see Bu Rifka Zahro.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, you too.
Okay. For this section, I'm very interesting because for this section, I have a new knowledge about relationship between mental health between the human and a pet. So in my question is, in what ways can pets provide emotion support to the owners, sir? So why pet can give the energy for the owners?
Okay, I think that is different. That is very important. The question. For example, right now I just try to continue my analysis. Yeah, actually, I try to figure out is there any the gender differences between the different pets, and my finding is if we try to look at the different genders, the men will have the lower well-being score rather than the female. Yeah. So I still want to figure out maybe the female, they have the nice interaction with pet, they will feel more positive. Yeah. But from my results, yeah, I have in my hand, it also showing that if the lady or the female, they have the pet and the dog. Yeah, they have the both of the pets. They have the highest score of the well-being. So how can I try to explain this result? I would like to say, because sometimes female, they still need a more emotional interaction. So sometimes they need their space. So maybe they will interact with the cats because cat will keep the space with you. But sometimes if they need some more close relationship, maybe they will find the interaction with the dog because dog will sometimes approach their owners. So in that case, maybe we can find out female, they would like to have the more flexibility to have the interaction with their pet if they have the dog and the cats. So I think that is also interesting as you mentioned. Yeah.
Okay, from this case, so the pet can give the emotional bond from the owners. It can be
the
like
cat
that.
also can give, but sometimes they will give their owner about the positive mental health because they're keeping the distance. So sometimes if we want to be nice to one person, we don't need to very close to them or approach them. Sometimes we need to give them the space if they need the space. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much for your
Yeah, that's my honor.
answer.
Thank you for your questions. Very nice questions too.
Okay, thank you. It's really interesting discussion, but we have to move to the next presenter.
Okay.
Once again, thank you,
Yeah,
Prof.
before
Nick.
we finish, welcome you guys to come to Taiwan. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Nick. Sorry. Before you leave, we should present your certificate first.
Okay.
Okay, so
Thank you.
for the appreciation, we will present a certificate online, but we will send the soft file to your email.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you.
because at first you stole my job to introduce you as a speaker. You
Yes,
introduce
yes.
yourself.
Thank you for your certificates. Thank you. It's my
Okay, thank you, Prof. Blake, for such a wonderful
pleasure.
presentation. Yeah, and now we will begin the next session. We have the next presenter, Dr. Helena Granziera. Dr. Helena Granziera, are you with us right now?
I am indeed. Yes, very pleased to be
Okay,
here. Thank you.
perfect. How are you, doctor?
I'm very well, thank you. And how are you?
And good.
That's
Okay.
excellent.
So before I give the stage to Dr. Helena Granciera, first I need to introduce the speaker first. Okay. So Dr. Helena Granciera is the senior lecturer in educational psychology in the School of Education and a former primary school and PDHPE teacher. Her research program encompasses two interrelated strands. The first examines psychological and contextual factors associated with teachers' well-being and motivation, and their relationship with school functioning and student outcomes. And the second focuses on the development of pre-service teachers, pedagogical and professional competencies, with particular attention to the implication for teachers' well-being, professional sustainability, and retention. And Dr. Helena is passionate about positive health and well-being for teachers and how this can be promoted at individual, school, and organizational level. And I think this is also the topic of the presentation from Dr. Helena. Are you ready for your presentation, Dr.?
I certainly am. Yes, I will
Okay.
just share my slides with you.
Okay, the stage is yours, please.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, hopefully we can see my slides there. So far, so good. That's always helpful.
Yeah, it's
So I can
perfect.
Yep, beautiful. So firstly, I would like to sincerely thank you for inviting me tonight to, I say tonight because it's currently 6:30 p.m. at night in Sydney. But I would like to really warmly thank you for providing me with the opportunity to speak about an issue which I'm very passionate about and which I think is a particularly relevant one in the context of higher education, but also globally as we see it. So today, my real focus is going to be a spotlight on teachers' mental health. So focusing on why we need to examine teachers' mental health and what it means in the broader context of the education system. So our presentation today will follow the following structure. And please, at any time, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or put a hand up. And I'm sure our wonderful moderator will look after that. So I'll be taking you on a bit of a journey today. We'll be starting off with what education means for a mental health setting and how the two concepts are interrelated. I'll then explain why teachers' mental health is such a focus. I'll discuss some of the theoretical conceptualizations and frameworks of mental health that are involved in the teaching profession. I'll talk about what the antecedents or drivers are. I'll talk about what the outcomes are. And then we can have a look at what types of schools and what types of system, school and individual level supports support positive mental health for teachers. Okay. All right, so the big question, education and mental health. Why do schools matter? This is something that researchers increasingly find themselves answering as we're embarking upon our research agendas. And put in a nutshell, basically, educational environments are key environments for shaping mental health for both students and teachers. They are inherently relational, and we often go through multiple contexts in which we have to interact with others. So it's both a wonderful place where we can foster positive mental health, but also where we can identify when individuals are experiencing poor mental health. So from that, in the basic level, we understand that school experiences shape well-being of students. So for instance, students will frequently talk about assessment pressures, workloads, relationships with peers and teachers. And we know that and safety and inclusion really matter for shaping well-being. We also know that within school, students' mental health shapes teachers' practices and student learning. And that relationship is really highly reciprocal. So that is, if students are displaying poor mental health, then oftentimes teachers will respond by either adjusting their instruction or perhaps may respond in a stressful way such that their own mental health is affected. On a broader level, mental health is a system issue, not just an individual. So we can't just say that a teacher experiencing poor mental health is responsible for their own mental health. We have to recognise that that occurs within a broader system in which factors such as school climate, leadership, and the types of support structures that are available will influence both teachers' and students' outcomes. And as I mentioned before, and this is a really interesting area of research that we're seeing increasing meta-analyses and meta-syntheses attesting to, and that is that student and teacher well-being are interrelated. They predict one another, they reciprocally affect one another, and they carry on in this cycle longitudinally. So for instance, if we have a stressed out teacher, then oftentimes that stress is transferred through a process of contagion to students, which affects teaching quality and the learning environment long term. So why is education so important for mental health? For students, we know that student mental health needs are high and they are increasing. More and more, we're starting to get an understanding of the fact that many students experience significant mental health challenges, and schools are primary sites through which that can be addressed. For teachers and school staff, we understand that their mental health is really heavily impacted by workload pressures and the growing stress and strain of dealing with an increasingly diverse and challenging student base. So as I said here, supporting student well-being often happens while they're also managing high levels of stress, which means that they experience further stress and burnout. So why do we focus on teachers' mental health? And again, in a nutshell and in summary, it's because teachers' mental health is a global problem. These are some examples of headlines that I found in various news publications across the globe that talk about teachers' mental health. So in Australia, we have a study that showed that 90% of Australian teachers are severely stressed. In the UK, they discuss the fact that teachers' sick days are soaring because of mental health. In Morocco, they discussed a really tragic case of student and teacher suicide, which showed the mental health crisis that is happening in Moroccan schools. In Hong Kong and in China and across a number of East Asian countries too, we see increasing reports of poor self-efficacy, diminished social support, and psychological distress. And in an article that I read in the Jakarta Post in 2022, there was a very clear imperative, and that was that we need to talk about teachers' mental health. Okay, now I suspect that, oh no, it is okay. So taken together, what we can see is that teachers' mental health is well and truly a global problem. And despite differences in terms of the way that it's conceptualized, it's something that is relevant to teachers across all educational contexts. So in this next section, I'm going to show you the way in which mental health is conceptualized within educational settings and how that often differs and sometimes has similarities with the way that it is conceptualized within clinical or within clinical settings. So when we talk about teachers' mental health, we see coming together both a clinical perspective and an educational psychology perspective. And those two together help to shape the way that we understand teachers' experiences of mental health. So firstly, teachers' mental health is conceptualized along clinical, psychological, occupational, and organizational dimensions. And very importantly here, teachers' mental health is not just the absence of mental illness. Increasingly, definitions of mental health have moved towards a conceptualization of mental illness and mental wellness as being the presence of psychological thriving. So it's not just about the absence of mental illness, it's about doing well. And so this is the way that I've chosen to unite some of these approaches. So on the left hand, we see these clinical approaches to teachers' mental health, which are often characterized by the presence of psychiatric symptoms. So things like mood disorders and clinical diagnoses. Importantly, you'll see that on this left-hand side, there is a strong focus on individual level factors. So it is very much how do individual level experiences of mental health shape the approach to understanding it. But what we understand and what we have now come to see is that we cannot fully understand teachers' mental health unless we analyze it in context. And that is in a context where teachers experience high workload, heavy job demands, where there are often issues with classroom management, student behaviourship, disparate leadership, and of course things like structural or government policies and changes that will have a carry-down effect for teachers. So between these two approaches, we see some commonalities, and these are the ways that we often frame teachers' wellbeing. The first one, and I'm sure it's a phrase that many of you will have come across, is burnout. So when we're talking about teachers' mental health, very often we're considering how are teachers burnt out? How are they emotionally exhausted? What do we know about their stress levels? And then within this, we see some of these other phrases here, which is how do teachers cope? How is their teaching practice impaired? And how are they functioning? So the key thing that I would like us to come away with today is an understanding that teachers' mental health is the intersection of clinical and educational constructs, which come together to provide us with a more holistic view of what teachers' mental health looks like in context. So let's move on to how does the literature represent teachers' mental health? So much, my apologies. So much of the literature in teachers' mental health has adopted this framework. Sorry, I'm just having a look at the chat here. Has adopted this framework that examines mental health in terms of anxiety, depression, and stress. Now, that is a very clinical approach, but importantly, in educational settings, we've seen the relevance of conceptualizing teachers' mental health through these three dimensions. So anxiety is a persistent fear. And the important thing there is that it's the persistent fear and worry. It's not just one time, it's not isolated, and it's not situational. It's persistent across contexts. And the same with depression. It is not a single episode of low mood. It is persistent low mood over time. And again, persistence is the word of the day because stress, contextualized within teachers' mental health, is considered to be persistent tension. Now, much of what I will be focusing on today is what the research is telling us about these dimensions of mental health in teachers. So let's turn now to some of the representations of teachers' mental health in research internationally. Okay. So across a range of countries, we're seeing increasing levels of depression and anxiety. So for example, in 2019, a study of Chinese teachers identified increases in depression and anxiety. In a smaller scale study of British teachers, we see again rates of 20% for moderate to severe depression. Now, I understand that 20% may not sound huge compared to these other numbers, but when we consider that 1 out of every 5 teachers that you come across may well be experiencing severe depression to the point where they require regular medication and therapy, then I think that points to a really problematic state of affairs. Another study of 2019 found frankly alarming numbers of depression, anxiety, and stress here. And again, the fact that 68% of teachers indicated high anxiety really paints a problematic picture. Now, another study that we did in Australia that provided some real contrast in terms of how teachers compared to other occupations was in a recent study that found that teachers reported mean scores for anxiety, depression, and stress, which were approximately 3 to 4 times the national average. So that is, teachers were depressed, anxious, and stressed up to 3 times more than in those across other occupations. So what does all of this come with, and what does all of this paint for us in terms of a picture of what's happening with teachers' mental health? What it highlights is, unequivocally, teachers' mental health is a global issue, and it would be remiss of us to consider it to be anything other than an epidemic that needs to be managed, but at structural levels, policy levels, school levels, and individual levels. Now we're going to turn to what the drivers and predictors are of mental health. When I discussed mental health, as I mentioned before, in teachers, contemporary approaches to understanding teachers' mental health are moving away from focusing on individual factors and instead are having a look at the broader factors that occur both within and outside the workplace. So much of the literature that was released by the OECD talked about how workload and work conditions are key sources of stress. Increasingly, the desire or the need to undertake unnecessary administration, the impact of excessive marking, and increasingly compliance reforms have made teachers' workloads heavier than ever before. And this is a key factor that has been associated with their experiences of poor mental health. We also find that organizational climate is a potential driver or predictor of mental health, in that if you don't have a relationship with your principal or your leader that is characterized by trust or respect, then you're much less likely to experience positive mental health. The final factor is, in this slide anyway, is student factors. So students have changed dramatically over the last few years, and particularly since COVID. And we're finding that there is a high degree of additional learning needs. So whether that is English as a second language, neurodivergence, increased misbehavior, or even disengagement and amotivation. We're finding that students are increasingly complex, and as a result, they're placing new pressures and new challenges on teachers that require them to expend far more resources than often are available to them. Turning to the systemic and the broader level factors that often drive teachers' mental health, systemic factors should really not be underestimated. So across global contexts, we frequently hear reports of resource stress and underfunding. And the hot word or hot phrase in the news is often, how do we deal with national teacher shortages? This is something that is coming up time and time again and is placing teachers, schools, and broader society under great strain. And that translates for teachers in things such as increased workload as they have to take on the classes of teachers who have left or perform additional administration tasks. The other factor too are the increased focus on high stakes accountability tests. So international data tests, so PISA and those types of standardized assessments where achievement is highly rewarded, but falling below expectations is sometimes punished or is seen poorly. And then finally, across different contexts, we see that there are different perceptions in how teachers are valued as professionals. And that's something that will often undermine their sense of accomplishment and personal achievement. We then go to individual level factors, which although are smaller in comparison, still may play a role. So we tend to see that teachers who have poorer mental health have prior mental health experiences. They may lack support networks, and we may find that there are comorbid factors such as the presence of underlying personality or other depressive disorders. But taken together, we can see that sorry, my light goes off here in my office. There we go. Taken together, we can see that a variety of individual, systemic, and school level factors are all implicated in predicting teachers' mental health. Now, the big question, what are the outcomes of mental health? And when we look at the outcomes, you realize that they really traverse multiple categories. It's not just teachers, but we're looking at the implications for students, schools, and systems alike. So when teachers experience poor mental health, we notice issues with attendance and retention. So there are a number of studies that discuss the fact that teachers who have poor mental health will be more frequently absent from school. They'll either take sick days or mental health sick days, or alternatively, they may be part of a phenomenon called presenteeism, where they are in attendance at school, but they are mentally unwell and unable to deliver instruction effectively. We also see high turnover, and that is that teachers who are mentally ill or who experience poor mental health are much more likely to leave the profession. There is also a fair bit of evidence that shows us that the mental health issues that they may develop during their time in the teaching the workforce may be protracted and may result in long-term illness. Ultimately, that may unfortunately lead to severe risk. And there are, as I mentioned in those previous slides, reports of teachers with poor mental health dying by suicide or engaging in self-harm behaviours. So all of that is absolutely horrific for teachers as it is, but it also impacts students. So when teachers have poor mental health, we tend to notice an association with lower academic achievement. And there are a number of meta-analyses in the seminal study conducted in 2016, which indicate that teachers who have high levels of burnout inevitably have classes characterized by poorer academic achievement. So it's not just the social and emotional level, it's also the academic side. On the engagement and motivation dimensions, teachers who have poor mental health tend to have students who are more disengaged. And that's a bit of a cycle. So when teachers have poor mental health, they may find that they're less likely to engage in innovative teaching practices, which leads to student disengagement, which then perpetuates teachers' experiences of a lack of motivation for teaching with the class. So that reciprocal or cyclical nature of teachers' mental health is something that we do have to be we have to pay close attention to. And interestingly, with this process of contagion that occurs, teachers' emotions, and particularly their negative emotions, can actually transfer to their students. So oftentimes, if teachers are experiencing poor mental health, their students may pick up on that subliminally, and they may actually display poor mental health themselves. In terms of schools, we see huge impacts of teacher shortages and teachers' poor mental health. So the workforce strain cannot be understated. We see increasing teacher shortages, the casualisation of labour, the introduction of unqualified, unmotivated teachers who ultimately perpetuate the issues within the education system. As I mentioned before, when teachers have poor mental health, schools will often have lower school level achievement. So it not only operates at the classroom level, but it also operates at the highest school level. And from an economic perspective, there are significant operational and economic costs. So when you have to employ casual teachers, or when you have to redirect resources to retraining teachers already within the school system, these are significant outlays that often schools have to bear. There are similar impacts for systems. We see incredible financial burden whereby, for instance, governments have to pay out stress-related work claims to teachers or invest further in disability health schemes because of the mental health. And we also see issues in terms of the inefficient investment. So all of that money that we spend on training pre-service teachers ultimately doesn't go to translating to teachers who actually go out into the workforce, and therefore, can actually pay back on that investment. Okay. So I'm aware of time, so I'm going to skip forth now. So what do schools that support positive mental health look like? Firstly, they are characterised by supportive leaders, so leaders who listen to their staff member and who are positive models for positive relationships. On the topic of positive relationships, we know that social support from colleagues is really significant in supporting teachers' well-being. And it's particularly helpful because they're able to impart advice and wisdom on how to manage challenges in schools. Or schools that have high autonomy and agency and that empower their teachers to be involved in decision making tend to report higher levels of mental health among teachers. And critically, manageable workloads. So providing teachers with enough time to perform the core duties of their job and taking away the unnecessary bureaucracy is key in promoting positive mental health. Finally, for those those teachers who do experience mental health issues, we have to make sure that we provide access and support to help them to address the ongoing challenges of mental health. And overall, a positive school climate where this isn't just in our leaders, it's not just with our colleagues, but where at all levels we have supportive relationships across and within school contexts, including all members and stakeholders. That's what is really needed to create this shared culture of positive health. So what do we do now with what we have to better support teachers' mental health and to create schools that look like that previous slide? Well, when we look at it, we consider this triangle here, and that is that you have to build a strong foundation for teachers' mental health to ensure that it carries on across all levels. So at the base, we have to have a strong policy focus where policy level supports help to reduce class sizes, where they provide administrative support, and when there are policies that really mandate teachers' well-being, that's how the policy levels can help to support national concerns and help continuity. You can see here that we keep on going with decreasing responsibility as we go up the pyramid, and that's something that I really want to emphasize, which is that it should never just be an individual's approach to mental health. It shouldn't be characterized by individuals doing something. We need to make sure that we're supporting teachers' mental health from the base and up, through school level and then carrying up to the individual level. So at that school level, we can have leadership who supports the modelling of positive wellbeing practices. We can look at aspects such as workload redesign, where we provide additional time for planning, preparation and marking. And we ensure that, again, that the policies of the school reflect that dominant focus on the need to promote mental health and positive wellbeing. Finally, at the individual level, we need to ensure that we're supporting individuals who are experiencing maladaptive experiences of mental health. So through providing counselling, by providing them with mentors and professional development and support in the school setting that helps to meet those needs that are often associated with greater satisfaction. So I'm going to skip ahead now and go to the references because I understand that it is indeed time for some questions. But before I answer any questions, I would just like to sincerely thank the audience and thank the university for the opportunity to present. And it's always a pleasure to be able to discuss these really important matters. So thank you sincerely.
Thank you, Dr. Helena, for your wonderful presentation, and also thank you for keeping perfectly on time.
Try
Okay.
to.
Yeah, I wrote the time is 25 minutes. So basically you still have 5 minutes for your presentation, but it's fine. We can use it for discussion.
Very
Okay, now
happy
we will
to.
have Q&A session. We have one question in the chat room, but first I will give the opportunity for participants who want to ask the question directly. There are 2 persons or 3 persons raised their hand. Professor Pajola, because you have already asked your question in the second presentation, maybe I will give the opportunity to Miss Dia Karmiati first. Miss Dia Karmiati, please, you can open your microphone.
Thank you very much, Mas Hanif. Dr. Helena, it's a nice presentation from you. So this is what is very, very hot issues, I think, about the school well-being. Also in Indonesia, I think. but maybe I give you some questions or one questions maybe. In your presentation, along as I hear your presentation, a little bit you say about the financial factors for
Yes.
Teacher well-being. Yeah, as you know, in Indonesia now, the issue of financial support is what is very massive in Indonesian about teacher. Yeah, how they can what is survive with a very low incentive, with a very low what is incentive. Yeah, how they can survive, how they can have I think what is endurance to still what is interaction with their student, with their a friend, with their leader. Yeah. So according to you, Dr. Helena, what is the factors that make our teachers in Indonesia still have endurance, still have motivation, yeah, to teach their students?
So a lot of teachers, as we know, enter the profession
in
because
case they have a very low income. That is what is an issue, a hot issue in Indonesia right now. Thank you, Dr. Helena.
No, and thank you, because I think you raise a very important issue there. And one of the things that we've found from a national review here in Australia is that one of the key factors that teachers often discuss is the need for compensation that is commensurate with their level of qualification, and valuing teachers and reflecting that value by ensuring that we are financially remunerating our teachers is vital. I think, most of us would agree that teachers are the cornerstone of a developed society, and without them, we can't expect students and generations to come to develop the essential skills to be functioning members of society. And unless we compensate them appropriately, then it is really unrealistic to expect that they are able to sustain that passion. At the heart of it, many teachers enter the profession not because of the pay, but because we are genuinely passionate about changing lives and changing students' lives. But of course, as you said, we find that point where we want to change lives, but we also need to be able to eat, and I think that in order to sustain that passion, we have to ensure that structural and policy level supports are available that enable teachers to continue doing what they do. And without sustained investment in the teaching profession, in pre-service teacher education, and in schools, that's an incredibly difficult thing to do. And you'll see that notion is supported across multiple empirical sources, and it's a key finding that emerges time and time again, which is basically teachers need to be paid for their qualifications, for their expertise and experience, and recognized based on what the huge amount that they contribute to society.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Helena.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Miss Dia and Dr. Helena. I see one more person raise hand. Oh no, two person, Miss Sherin and Mr. Salahuddin. Okay, maybe Mr. Salahuddin first. You can open your microphone to ask your question.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Dr. Helena, for the presentation that has been delivered. My question is brief. What is the relationship between educational and mental health and character education that is where from the concept of religious teaching, especially the heavenly religions? Thank you.
Sorry, can you repeat that question? My Zoom stopped out a second.
Mr. Salahuddin, can you repeat your question? We cannot.
Okay, okay. Is my question is brief. what is the relationship between educational and mental health and character education that is built from the concept of religious teaching, especially the heavenly religions?
So are you asking how the well-being frameworks fit within a religious context? Yeah. So it all depends, I guess, on the approach that schools take to conceptualizing well-being. And often we find that religion can actually be a wonderful resource that can support mental health and well-being. And being able to draw on your faith can be something that can be really helpful and can absolutely sustain motivation. And I think that depending on the framework and the pedagogy of the school or the environmental setting, then certainly we can view religion and we can view faith as being an element that helps teachers to remain motivated. I would argue, though, that with mental health, thank you very much for putting this in the chat. Perfect. Now, I would argue, though, that character education that is taught through the heavenly religions is arguably domain general. So we're talking about well-being in the very general sense, as opposed to well-being applied in the context of a teaching or an occupational setting. So while there are absolutely parallels, and while mental health and character education from religious teachings can inform well-being and mental health of teachers, we need to apply a contextually specific lens to ensure that the way that we promote mental health within teachers is also reflective of the broader context in which that is taking place. And that is the unique features of the teaching environment that inherently add additional layers of stress. But that's a really interesting question. And I would love to hear what your thoughts are on perhaps how those two approaches can coexist harmoniously.
Mr. Salahuddin, do you have any response?
It's okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Helena.
No response. Okay. Okay, I think we can move to the next question. Miss Shirin, do you want to ask the question? Okay, please.
Yes, Dr. Helena, thank you. Actually, it's not a question as much as comment. My comment related to based on these papers, to the best of your knowledge. Next days, we will need to apply personality assessment or psychological measurement for teachers to guarantee we will get a staff with proper emotional balancing good mental health.
Yep, we absolutely do. And actually, we're starting to do some work over here with some modules that are called the teacher selection process. And they're actually online online modules where we assess the suitability of pre-service teacher candidates for the teaching profession by examining how they respond to a number of different scenarios. And so it's really starting to get into looking at who would be best suited to be a teacher and who perhaps would maybe benefit from further professional development before considering teaching. And there is actually quite a bit of work that has a look at personality profiles of teachers and how that is associated with their engagement in work and satisfaction. So I think that's a really fantastic point.
So it will be necessary for educational
absolutely.
environment.
It's definitely something that needs to be considered.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for all these wonderful questions. It's wonderful to be able to engage and listen and hear everybody's perspectives.
Yeah, we still have time. Professor Aurelian, do you want to ask a question?
Yes, please. Thank you very much for the excellent presentation, Professor Elena Graciera. I have two very short questions. The first one is if you give us some more details about the attempt suicide cases among teachers and among students, maybe all over the world or in your country in Australia. And my second question is, among the many varieties that you have considered in your analysis about the mental health in the school, have you taken into consideration the discrimination prejudice? In particular, I'm referring to the gender discrimination or misrespectful behavior like sexual harassment or abuse, something like that. So thank you very much in advance for answering these two short questions. Thanks.
So they're both excellent questions. Now, in relation to the suicide case in Morocco, I didn't obtain further details because it was a rather sensitive case, but I just read a case report that came through. But I can absolutely find further details and send them to you. If you'd like to forward me your email address, I'd be happy to, or if you email me, I'd be happy to provide you with that further detail. Now, I think your second point is a really interesting one, and particularly in a modern context. The first thing is we know that teaching is an overwhelmingly female-dominated profession. So in Australia, we have roughly 90% of teachers are female, with only 10% being male. So we do see that that gender bias operates in certain experiences. But in terms of cases in schools where teachers are facing gender-based violence and discrimination, I can only report on what I have seen most recently, and it hasn't emerged as one of the key sources of stress, but that is not to say that it's not happening. And I think that highlights a really important avenue for further research, particularly involving gender-based experiences of things like classroom management and discipline, because I absolutely think that there will be instances in which gender has played a very significant role in shaping the mental health of those teachers.
So you have a kind of self-guarding commission in each school.
You mean within schools?
Do you have a safeguarding commission in each school or each university?
So we don't have in Australia, we don't have it within each school, but within each state we do. And then we have school level policies that are guided to enshrine those practices. So there's very clear policy and framework around gender-based discrimination and gender-based violence at a school level, at a system level, and between our different states. So we definitely have that type of thing that is well and truly, and it's in the wellbeing policies as well when we talk about types of discrimination and violence.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Paciola, and thank you for the answer. We still have two questions from chat room. Dr. Helena, the first one is from Mr. Salahuddin Liputo. Is there a difference between countries about funding and sources in systemic problems?
Yeah, so we do see that there are only a handful of countries in which they receive adequate funding for education. And in those countries, they tend to be the Nordic and Scandinavian countries. We do see that there are higher levels of teacher satisfaction and teacher retention compared to countries which report systemic underfunding. Now, in countries where there is inadequate funding for teachers and for the education system, we see exceptionally high levels of dissatisfaction, of poor well-being and poor mental health. So it does appear to be protracted in countries which are economic or where the funding for education is disproportionate to the requirements. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. And this is the last question, I think, from Ms. Susan. Dr. Helena, are we addressing teacher mental health as an individual resilience issue while leaving the structural drivers of distress fundamentally unchanged?
This is a great question, and it's something that we are seeing more and more in research. I would say that yes, most approaches to addressing teacher wellbeing have focused on individual factors that are malleable. So things like how can we build teachers' resilience? How can we do mindfulness interventions? How can we take teachers to yoga? Those types of things that are only addressing the surface level causes of mental health. In order to address mental health systemically, we really need to adopt a public health lens and consider the way in which teachers' mental health can be promoted at an individual level, at a societal level, and as well as at that school and structural level. So I would definitely say that there is a tendency in the literature to see mental health as being an individual problem rather than something that has to be supported across those levels of society. As I showed in that slide, in order to address teachers' mental health, we have to have policy level initiatives, school level factors, and individual level interventions. It can't just be one.
I think it's a really interesting discussion. I think there are a lot of more question, but unfortunately we have a limited time.
It's a shame. These have all been so interesting. So please feel free to email me. My email just and contact details are there, and I'm always happy to discuss matters of teacher wellbeing. So please don't hesitate to reach out.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Helena. For the participants who have no opportunity to ask the question in this session, maybe you can direct the question to Dr. Helena to this email. Dr. Helena has already published her email in the share screen. Thank you once again, Dr. Helena, and we would like to present the certificate for you.
Thank you very much.
The certificate will be displayed on the screen. This is the certificate for our appreciation for your presentation today. Once again,
very
thank you,
much.
Dr. Helena. It's a really wonderful presentation and really interesting. When we talk about mental health of teacher, it's really interesting, especially if we connect it in Indonesian context.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for your time.
It's
Really
really
appreciate
relevant
it.
topic here. Okay, thank
you.
you, Doctor.
Bye.
Okay, then we will move to the next presenter, and the next presenter is Professor Aureliano Paciola. Hello and welcome, Prof. Paciola. Okay, wait a second, bro. Before you start your presentation, I need to do my job first, okay? So I need to introduce you to the audience, okay? So before I give the stage to you, please let me introduce our speaker. So Professor Aureliano Paciola is a clinical and forensic psychologist from Italy, an experienced psychotherapist, and a respected academic lecturer. He has delivered international keynote talks on logotherapy, forensic psychology, and violence prevention. His work integrates moral and humanistic perspective with psychological practice, and he has been recognized with awards such as the Viktor Frankl Awards for his contribution to meaning-based approach in psychology. And today, as you see in the screen, we are honored to have him share his insight about psychological diagnosis and DSM-5 criteria, logotherapy, and artificial intelligence for increasing mental health. Dr. Paciola, are you ready for your presentation? Do you need assistance to present, or you can do it by yourself?
Yes, sir. I'm ready. Just I would like to know whether or not you are seeing my slides. You can see my slides, right?
Yeah, I can see your slide, but it's not in full screen mode. Maybe it's better if yes.
I would like to.
Yes, it's perfect. It's perfect right now.
Okay, please. Let me know 5 minutes before the end of my time, because I
sure.
the conception of time. Okay, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me in this very prestigious congress and this seminar. Thank you very much to the University of Muhammadiyah Malang. Well, after considering the title of my presentation, I would like to start from the concept of mental health. So I would like to focus your attention on the definition, what we mean for mental health. Number one, in this first slide, you can see my email address, because I would like to receive your comment, your questions, even now and after this presentation. So we may start by asking ourselves, what do we mean for mental health? And we have three points of view. Number one, when you see 3 asterisks like here, it means that I have some handouts for you. So for those who want to, they can ask me, or maybe ask Dr. Sofa the handout, and you can receive it and have more details about the question. So for mental health, we may have the definition or point of reference of DSM-5, PDM-2, and logotherapy. As you can see in this slide, DSM-5 defined mental health as the absence of observable dysfunction, which is not a bad definition, but in a sense is not enough for me. Nevertheless, I think that we all psychologists and clinical psychologists and psychotherapists, we need to take into consideration DSM-5 because it is, I mean, all over the world, and everybody can have the criteria of mental health and given diagnosis. And PDM-2 also is another manual, and that's a manual is for psychodynamics. So the mental health is described in terms of presence of active psychological capacities. So we need to know from PDM-2 what are the active psychological capacities specifically for each age of human being. So I personally believe that we need both DSM-5 to know the absence of observable dysfunctions and also PDM-2 to know the presence of psychological activities. Another third, for me, the most important point of view is logotherapy of Viktor Frankl. According to the logotherapy of Viktor Frankl, the main core and the more specific issue in human being is the logos. Logos means the sense of life, the meaning of life. In other words, the awareness and the consciousness of the meaning of life and the purpose of life, that is the main point of reference of mental health. So I try to specify even more these concepts of logotherapy. So more specifically, I would like to focus, and you can see the 3 asterisks. So even for these for these slides, you may have some handouts. So we need to make a distinction when we make diagnosis, assessment, and disorder. In this context, I would like to focus our attention on the assessment, which is the stage before the diagnosis. Maybe later on we may discuss also prognosis, but now we may discuss about assessment. And both of them, we should take into consideration both the DSM-5 and PDM-2. Both are based on the evidences. So evidence-based criteria, and also both assessment and disorder should be made by evidence-based and personality disorder dimension, personality dimension. For using these criteria for assessment, I use PID-5. PID-5, probably most of the psychotherapists among you, they know what is. It is a questionnaire based on criteria of DSM-5 to have a personality profile. This is the tool I more use for assessment first, and then for the diagnosis. Another tool beside PID5 I use is the map of a personal meaning, is a personal meaning map. This is a tool I developed specifically from the theory of Viktor Frankl, from logotherapy. So the starting point, as I told you, the main core of mental health, according to logotherapy, is the awareness that my life has got a sense. I can give meaning to my life and everything within my life. So that is more specific human beings, and this is the more specific criteria for mental health. In other words, when people or one single individual or people, they are about to lose the meaning of life, that is the beginning of the preconditions of suicidal cases. So if we consider that all these suicidal cases, different varieties, they have one single item in common: the lack of logos. Logos means the lack of meaning, the lack of a sense of life. So in this diagnosis, I try to formulate, and even here you have more handouts on that, we should distinguish the anamnesis, the assessment, and disorder diagnosis. So the anamnesis is something different at the beginning when we meet a patient, and we psychologists and psychotherapists, we have a different form than medical diagnosis. So we would need to have a pattern or instrument tools to have a psychological anamnesis. Then assessment, and here assessment, as you can see, is simply collecting information about possible problems, difficulties about the patient. And then after the assessment, we have the diagnosis. In DSM-5, diagnosis can be made only on disorders. So when we have the word disorder, that is the diagnosis. If we do not have the word disorder, that is not a diagnosis, is good criteria for assessment. And also, the assessment is to facilitate the process of diagnosis. And also, the assessment is all the information good to formulate a case. Now, something other important is, and then here we have more handouts too. In order to come to a disorder, that is a diagnosis, we should distinguish what the pre-problematic situation for the assessment of mental health and the psychological, pathological situation. So mental health, in assessing mental health, according to this protocol, we need to distinguish what is healthy, what is pre-problematic, and then problematic, and then pathological. And we have criteria to distinguish criteria, and also we have tools. For example, pre-problematic is simply a style life or personality style, and we should recognize the central psychological themes of the pre-problematic. Instead, when we have a diagnosis, so we have a disorder, we have three important criteria. Number one, rigidity, and the rigidity is the opposite of flexible. It is pervasive. Pervasive means that the rigidity is in different contexts of life: family, friends, school, works, and so forth. Then another criteria about the mental health and assessing mental health is how the functioning areas have been dysfunction, and then the quantity and quality of suffering. So all mental health should be assessed through this criterion. This is another slide in which there is a difference between DSM-5 and PDM about the main focus, objective, unit of analysis, diagnosis, structures, and ideal patient. So you can have more information about this slide even in the handouts. Okay, now the artificial intelligence. That's a very interesting question. The artificial intelligence should, according to me, of course, is not able to do diagnosis. So if someone believes that the artificial intelligence can make a diagnosis, that's wrong. That's completely wrong for me. I mean, I never can say that. Artificial intelligence instead is simply is just an assistant for collecting information in order to give a diagnosis. So artificial intelligence is for facilitating monitoring and research. So is artificial intelligence has got two important qualities, two important positive points. Number one, time. Because if we learn how to interact with artificial intelligence, the program can give us quickly information that we may need weeks or months before doing the same job. So artificial intelligence can do all the process that human being can do. The only difference is time, with a click time. The second important value of artificial intelligence is accuracy, because it is very accurate to process information. Nevertheless, one of my strongest recommendations I give when we use artificial intelligence is to review what artificial intelligence gives us. So once we give a prompt, the right prompt, and we should learn how make a prompt, how to make a suitable prompt and questions, then after the words, we need to read again and analyze what artificial intelligence can give us. So there are 3 steps. Number one, I would like to share with you in some other context how to make suitable prompt to artificial intelligence. Number 2, for assessing medical, psychological health, artificial intelligence should be read any outcomes in a critical sense. And number 3, after reading the outcome of artificial intelligence, the patient should review what the outcome. So after these 3 steps, we may say that artificial intelligence can be a good operational assistant in our information. So once again, artificial intelligence can help us to distinguish, so to not confuse pre-problematic problems. Sorry? Sorry, I can hear some voice. I don't know. Is somebody is asking or say something? Okay, may I continue? Okay, so we cannot use artificial intelligence without examining the ethical side of this. And we should review the outcome of artificial intelligence not only to distinguish pre-problematic from pathological, but also because there are many contexts in which the person can appear problematic, for example, borderline or psychotic, but actually cannot have a diagnosis of borderline or psychotic. So we should review what artificial intelligence gives us. And now logotherapy. So logotherapy is based on the interpretation of life and reality. And once again, because of using the cognitive process of interpretation, sometimes is called existential psychotherapy or existential cognitivism. So the main core to evaluate the quality of mental health is this one: the awareness of the meaning of one's life. That is the foundation of physical and psychological and spiritual well-being. So the concept of man is a human being, or each man is being considered in the three dimensions. The first dimension is the body, the second dimension is psychological dimension, and then the spiritual dimension that Frank calls noetic dimension. Noetic dimension is not limited to religiosity. So the same concept is that the weaker is the conviction that my life has got a meaning, the more there is the predisposition to psychopathology, to any type of psychopathology and a degree. So we have many tools to evaluate for the assessment of the logos. I mean, the meaning of the perception that life has got a sense and a meaning. I would like to focus your attention on one process, one tool. It is called personal meaning map. And this personal meaning map can evaluate the mental health under 4 dimensions: the symptomatological dimension, the well-being, the existential well-being, the cognitive well-being, and relational well-being. So this is the 4 dimensions of a personal meaning map I use, and I will be happy to share with you in details. So the symptomatological dimension is made by the meaning that the person gives to himself, the relationship between himself or herself, the time, past, present, future, feelings, symptoms, and things are important to him. The existential dimension is made by the meanings that the patient gives to life, death, freedom, responsibility, conscience, guilt, sacrifice, effort, pain, love, religion, and God. at least these. And the cognitive dimension means to the assessment of the well-being or of the mental well-being according to the meanings given to the person, to the mind, brain, thoughts, thinking, beliefs, destiny, luck, problems, insecurity, inconsistency. And the last one is the relation dimension. Relation with a family, mother, father, brother, friends, best friends, psychotherapist, subconscious, work, and habits. So all these, the meanings to these realities can give us the idea, the assessment of the mental well-being of a person. This is a graphic of a PID-5. This according to the DSM, and if we have the opportunity, I would like to give a course and share with you all these criteria, the map of a personal meanings, and also how to use the criteria personal life. As you can see down below here, in a blue light, you can see 25 personality traits. 25 personality traits contained into 5 domains. The first domain, second domain in block letters, the third, the fourth, and the fifth domain in block letters. And you can see the peak because the highest, the consideration of this graphic is that from 0 to 1, all the personality traits from 0 to 1, according to the self-evaluation, they are resilient, they are good. From 1 to 5 are considered pre-problematic traits. After 1.5, there is the first level and then second level of problematic or pathological. For example, these 2.3, you can see anhedonia with the 3 stars. I put you 3 stars because anhedonia is the personality traits most critical. And then we have here distractibility, lack of concentration, distractibility, and the other personality trait here is restricted affectivity. So these four personality traits indicates that the quality of life indicates that the personal well-being, the mental health being is got some problem in this point. Okay, this is one point of reference. Now, here is the combination of intelligence, artificial intelligence, and here is you have more more handouts here. What the artificial intelligence is simply made a correlation between concept of life and death. So make a correlation between map of a person, meaning number 1, first item, life, and correlated with anhedonia. This is critical. So these two are critical, even though they are different tools, different parts. Or maybe the map of a person, meaning death, number 16, and another questionnaire I give, body alienation, they make into correlation. So once again, if you see, I could have done that job, anybody can do that job, but artificial intelligence, do it in one click time and with accurate. So specifically the number of the item make into correlation. Here is another way to evaluate the assessment of mental health, psychological health, is according to the freedom, responsibility, and effort. Once again, all these are parts of the meaning of life, the sense of life. Because when we say sense of life is a very wide concept, we also need to know not only the sense of life of the person, but anything contained in the life. So even death is part of life, and also freedom, responsibility, guilt, and so forth. So once again, you can see that the correlation between one item 7, referring to the freedom like a bird, and the free fantasy, the item 2. For example, I spend more than an hour daydreaming. So you see the correlation between a bird and free daydreaming. And also the item 10, for me, my responsibilities are like a race I have to run many times. And also is in connection with the detachment in PID 5. And also here, there is another sample of correlation, item 41. For me, sacrifice and effort are a border, reflecting fragility, meaning stress, relating with the feelings of being overwhelming by failing stones. You know, that's a metaphor, overwhelming by failing stones, in correlation with the irresponsibility. So, and this
Sorry,
is also...
Doctor, you have 2 minutes left.
2 minutes left. Thank you very much. I try to squeeze into the 2 minutes left. So the same thing with the consciousness, guilt, and pain. So you have all these into handouts too, specifying. So my conclusion is that according to logotherapy, the sense and the meaning of life, the logos, and anything inside it, that is the parameter, the polar star to evaluate the well-being, general well-being, physical well-being, psychological well-being, and also the spiritual or noetic well-being. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Paciola, for your wonderful presentation. Now we will start the last Q&A session. If any participants want to, yes, we have one person raise his hand, Mr. Eno. Please, you can raise your question.
Okay, thank you. Hello?
Yes, please.
My question is, what makes logotherapy important? And then how can we find meaning in life through logotherapy? I think that's all. Thank you.
I cannot hear well. What makes logotherapy? What?
What makes logotherapy important?
Okay. Question number 1, what makes logotherapy important? And question number 2, how can we find meaning in life through logotherapy?
How? The third question, how?
How can we find
meaning? How can we find meaning in life through logotherapy?
How can we find meaning in life through logotherapy?
Okay. Thank you very much for these three very important questions. Well, number one, logotherapy from the clinical practice, we know that it works because once the person is trying to find his meaning and sense in his life, he can have a more detached attitude toward the symptoms. So by detaching from the symptoms, you can face it in a different way. That's one of the reasons why logotherapy actually works. The second question, the reason why logotherapy is important is because number one, as I said, the lack of meaning and sense of life is present in any kind of attempt suicide cases, suicide ideation, and also the lack of a sense, the lack, not sense, the lack of awareness, the lack of consciousness that my life has got a sense is present in many, many disorders, dependent self-injuries and so on. Then the third question, the most important, how logotherapy can help people to find the logos, to find the meaning, the sense of life. Well, in applying logotherapy in a clinical perspective, we start by asking the patients about the meaning of different kind and then the meaning of life. The meaning of life cannot be given by the doctor. We psychotherapists, we cannot prescribe the meaning of life of other people. We simply put the person in a position to explore, to interpret and reinterpret the history, the existential analysis, the reality. So by interpreting and reinterpreting reality, he or she can find the sense of meaning. As a conclusion, the sense of and the sense a meaning of life should be in a different context, but present in any religiosity. Religion is one way to help us to become aware that our life has got a sense and a meaning. Any kind of religion, any kind of religiosity should have this. And also talking about politics and philosophy, any kind of politics, any kind of philosophy should have, explicitly or not explicitly, should have the help to find, to live life meaningfully. Thank you very much for the question.
Thank you very much, Professor Aureliano.
Okay, thank you. We have one more question from Miss Susan in the chat room. Does the act of assigning a formal diagnosis risk transforming transient psychological suffering into a fixed pathological identity? If so, how can we preserve the epistemic value of diagnosis while safeguarding the patient's sense of agency and existential meaning?
Well, once again, my answer on that should be found on the interaction between the psychotherapist and the patient, or sometimes the teacher and student. So into interaction, we should help patients to reflect on some basic principle. One basic principle is that the evidence of nature. In nature, we know that everything existing has got a sense. Even a small mosquito, even bacteria, even a cell or galaxy, whatever, anything living has got a sense. Any human beings got a sense. So we don't have any single item, maybe herbs, tree, plants, animals, useless. There is nothing useless in the world. And so everything has got a sense. And even my life has got a sense. If I live, it's because I've got a sense before I start living. And also, I can give the meaning to my life. Beside the sense, I can give the meaning to my suffering, the meaning to a situation, either good or bad. So our job to answer this question is to learn how to help patients to go into this dimension. In conclusion, there is one dimension, is self-transcendence. Self-transcendence means that human being is capable to transcend himself, to go beyond his own capacity, his or her own capacity and rights. Can be an hero, or he can choose what to do in his life. So that's the procedure to make more sensitive our patient to the meaning of life.
Okay, thank you, Professor, for the answer. Is there any question more? I think, yeah, there is no more question. So
Not
we can.
questions is okay, Pak Hani?
Yeah.
Not
Okay,
questions?
please.
Yeah.
No, okay, please.
Yeah. But hello, Prof. Aureliano. Do you remember me?
Yes.
Yes.
Very well.
I will inform you about our progress, our article, which will be published. Yeah, right now is in a process. Search the publisher that match with our focus and our frame. So maybe we wait some several times to inform you that inshallah our article will publish in a good publisher, I think.
Good.
Okay,
Inshallah.
thank you.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much, inshallah. That's just for complete the information. The article is on vulnerability, is
Yeah.
on forensic psychology. So my article is trying to measure or to detect, to assess the vulnerability of a victim, generally, all kind of victims, and especially the
Okay.
victim of
Okay.
sexual abuse. So psychologists should be able to assess if the person is vulnerable and how much is vulnerable and why is vulnerable, and in particular, which sector of personality is more vulnerable. Thank you very much for saying that. Thank
Okay.
you.
So I
Terima
hope we
kasih.
have next collaboration with you in a research.
Fine.
Thank you, Prof.
Sure, I'll be happy. More than happy. Thank you.
Yeah. Terima kasih, Aureliano.
Terima kasih.
Yeah,
Mas
welcome.
Hanif.
Terima kasih, Mas Hanif.
Yeah,
Ini Pak
Professor.
Tulus.
We still have one more question from
No
Miss
question,
Susan.
Mas Hanif.
Yeah, I think this is the last question for today's session. Okay? Because we
If
have
there's no
limited time.
question,
Yeah. But
thank
Prof. Tulus,
you.
you will ask a question.
No.
No, okay.
No,
Then I
but
can read the question from Miss Susan, okay?
okay.
Prof. Faciola, are we expanding mental health toward a more integrative existential model, or are we technologically refining a symptom-based paradigm under a different language?
Yes, I think that explaining the sense of life, the logos, is not a question of language. I think that in each language can be taken into consideration this main concept. One relevant thing in the anthropology is that the question of the sense of life is common in any culture in the world, any culture. And even in the past, in the years, centuries ago, always people in different ways have asked the question, why I'm living? So that's the main question we should answer. Why I am living? Why I should survive? Why it is better to live instead of killing myself? Why? Well, I give you now a very challenging questions. Everybody knows that Viktor Frankl had the experience in 4 concentration camps. So why I should live into a concentration camp? And each one of us has got his own concentration camp, his sickness. His situation can be a concentration camp. Concentration camp can be a metaphor of the sick person, because never entered spontaneously into concentration camp, and nobody choose to enter into a bad mental state, and nobody is free to leave the concentration camp of his own mental state, and we have got a lot of limitation. So that is an important thing, that all over the world, in any culture, we all put ourselves the question, why I should live in a such situation. My life is still has got the meaning, even in a very dramatic situation. So I say, in this framework, that desperation is very human. Generally, normal people can be desperate. Desperation does not mean mental sickness. Desperation means search in the meaning of my suffering. So, and I would like to share with you even practical tools and the methodology how to work on that plan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor. I think we have limited time, so if any participant who still have question, you can write an email or a message to Dr. Aureliano. Is it fine, Professor, if one of our participants contact you directly to ask question or to discuss something?
Yeah, I already gave my handout for the comment to the slide, so you can give it to the present, those who have been present in this seminar, my handout.
Okay, thank you. We will send the handout to all participants, and it includes the contact of Professor Paciola. So if anyone want to contact Professor Paciola, then you can send him email. Okay, thank you very much once again for your wonderful presentation. Yes, Prof?
1 second.
Okay.
So very happy to meet Professor Aureliano Paciola today.
Nice.
Yeah, okay. And
Selamat pagi.
yeah.
It's already afternoon here, Prof.
Yeah, in Indonesia afternoon.
Selamat sera.
Selamat siang.
Selamat siang.
Yeah, it is a pleasure for me meeting you, and for many sessions you participate in several seminars in UMM, and if the situation is possible in May and 2026, Mr. Professor Aureliano will come again in UMM to
Inshallah.
And also in September, because we have special activities, go to the Bromo Mountain to international seminars with the doctoral program in psychology, and hopefully Mr. Professor has many time to go. Thank you, Professor. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Tulus,
Thank you.
and we will happily welcome you again, Professor Paciola.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Okay, now thank you for all participants and all presenters. Now we would like to present the certificate for Professor Paciola. The certificate will be displayed on the screen. Yeah, this is the certificate of appreciation to Dr. Paciola for this wonderful presentation. Thank you once again, Prof. Paciola, for the material presented today. And finally, this is the end of presentation session. We are lucky to have 5 wonderful presentation today. And before I pass it to MC, please let me quickly sum up what we have learned today. So today we've seen that mental health is truly interconnected. It touches psychology, education, health, culture, and the way we find meaning in our lives. We begin with the understanding that well-being is culturally embedded and shaped by relational identity and social harmony. And then we understand from legal perspective, we saw that mental health is also a human right issue. The case in Malaysian framework show some progress, including suicide decriminalization.
Decriminalization.
Yes, that's a wonderful progress from Malaysia. We were also reminded that mental health is also relational and contextual, influenced by personality, gender, and even human-animal bonds in modern life. And from the field of education, we learned that teachers' mental health is a global concern, deeply connected to workload, leadership, school climate, and systemic support. And supporting teacher is not an optional. It is essential for student well-being and educational quality. And finally, we explore how diagnosis must go beyond symptom to include meaning, purpose, and ethical use of AI in clinical practice. And taken together, these 5 perspectives converge on one powerful message. Mental health must be understood holistically, culturally sensitive, clinically sound, relationally grounded, legally protected, and systematically supported. On behalf of the organizing committee, I extend our deepest appreciation to all distinguished speakers and participants. Thank you to everyone for your participation, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Good afternoon. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And
Waalaikumsalam.
I would
Waalaikumsalam
return
warahmatullahi
the mic
wabarakatuh.
to
See you,
our MC,
Professor
Miss
Aulia.
Karisma.
Thank you.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih.
Waalaikumsalam.
Amazing
Thank you semuanya.
Terima
Thank
kasih
you,
semuanya,
Professor.
Profesor.
And
Thank
to
you.
all of the distinguished speakers for valuable contributions to this conference. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the end of this international conference, so we would like to express to our professors, we would like to express our deepest gratitude to all of the respected speakers from Indonesia, Malaysia, Taiwan, Australia, and Italy for sharing their valuable knowledge and expertise. Today's discussions have shown us that mental health is not merely a psychological issue. It is educational, legal, social, and profoundly global. We hope that this conference has enriched your perspectives, strengthened your academic networks, and also inspired your future collaborations. Thank you for your active participations and engagements throughout the sessions. May this be the beginning of the continued dialogue and global partnership. Stay healthy, stay inspired, and see you in our next academic forum. See you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam wabarakatuh. Terima kasih, Mbak Karisma, Pak Anif.
See you, Mr.
Okay, for all the participants, please don't forget
Assalamualaikum.
to fill out the form for the attendance
MC is the
list,
best.
and then the committee will send the certificate directly to your email address. So please don't forget.
Thank you.
You.
Okay, see you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Terima kasih.
Terima
Terima
kasih.
kasih,
Sama-sama,
Prof.
Profesor.
Terima kasih semuanya.